conference will now be recorded.
Welcome back.
All right, we'll call to order the Monterey Select Board at 5:33 PM on March 10th, 2026 at the Monterey Town Hall. All three members of the Select Board are present here in Town Hall, and we're also joined by the Finance Committee, Steve Pullen and Jeff Zimmerman. We're missing Roger Tryon. Our first order of business is FY27 budget. And I believe the fire department is here to present their
Yeah,
budget.
Sean's supposed to be.
Okay.
Pulling in.
So we'll start with that since they're here. Do we have anyone else coming in tonight, Roger?
No, I thought Kim said she might.
So I was just talking to Kim before the meeting and I told her, don't come in because there's a budget hearing on Thursday. So hopefully at least one select board member and one finance committee member could attend the school budget hearing on Thursday.
It's at the library of Mount Everett. And the finance committee's meeting tomorrow is, I guess, also online. I might at least go listen into their meeting.
That's the finance committee tomorrow? Where's that about?
I'm not sure, but
Okay.
I can, you know what, I'll forward you I talked to Michelle, to the superintendent's office today, and she sent me some stuff here. We'll forward this to both.
Here's Roger. Roger. Hey, Roger. Hey, Roger.
Let's go.
Okay, good.
Have a seat, Roger.
Yes, happy with the 66? Please,
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
maybe we'll
Hope
get
it has
there.
this winter.
I just
After all.
forwarded you what Michelle Castellano, to everybody, what Michelle Castellano sent me about the
Open all the
meeting.
station doors today. It's nice.
I know, I had my windows and doors open.
So you're working on your lines with the electrician today? Well, I took a walk down there.
So while we're waiting to get started with the fire department here, it's this Thursday at 6:30 at the Mount Everett Library.
Oh, I have 5:30.
Well, I'm on the agenda, the posted agenda.
The finance committee is 5:30
Okay,
tomorrow.
Now,
So-
this, you're saying this is Thursday, or,
Thursday is the budget hearing for the school at 6:30 at the Mount Everett Library. Tomorrow, Wednesday at 5:30 PM, also at the Mount Everett Library, there's a finance subcommittee meeting.
right.
So if we could have people go to either or both of those meetings, that would be good.
I can do.
Can you go to both?
Maybe 6:30 Thursday, what time tomorrow?
5:30.
5:30.
Or is that the same place?
Yeah.
That's just the,
What's that?
that's just the finance.
Finance is tomorrow night.
I've got
Full
5:30. That's
budget
the
hearing.
amended numbers are here.
I got it right off the
It's right on the left.
rescheduled from Thursday. This is the agenda posted on the Southern Berkshire website.
The date, Thursday, March 12th, 5:30. Rescheduled from Thursday, March 5th, 2026 to Thursday, March 12th, 2026, time 5:30. You got it off the agenda.
Well, I got it straight from the website. Oh, you know what? Is that a specific budget hearing and I'm looking at the regular school meeting agenda?
This is some of the career and proposed budget.
Yeah, so the school committee meeting, I guess, is at 6:30. I was
Yes,
wrong.
but the budget.
Budget hearing is
meeting
at
is
5:30. All right, so we can also figure out later on in the meeting who's going, but I think people, so is it 5:30 both nights?
Yes, it's 5:30.
5:30 both nights, and then there's a school committee meeting at 6:30 if it spills over into that.
Yeah,
Well,
but it'd be done by 6:30, I mean, the one tomorrow night.
What?
the one Thursday.
Yeah, the one Thursday.
One's the finance subcommittee,
Yeah.
and the other one's the public hearing on his proposal.
Okay,
We'll have people go.
yeah, I can do Thursday, let me check the
Okay.
schedule.
All right, you wanna pull up the fire department budget, Roger?
So this is in general where we are. This is where they're proposing to hire 3 firefighters for this coming fiscal year. And that's kind of where we are right now. Those are the budget dollars. The, basically, they're level funding the fire department expenses. There's the fire facilities lease at $60,000. And that's all 6 of the employees, the staff in at that time. We have made adjustments. The budget itself has adjustments for, like we've done in the past for health insurance. We put 2, we added 2 family and a 2-person, and did a 2-person as a buffer in the health insurance. So that shows up in these health rates, which also is part of, it shows up in the budget. We did not make an adjustment to retirement because that would come next year when we get the next assessment for FY '28 is essentially when that would show up.
For the
So,
3 new firefighters.
For the 3 new firefighters, yep. So, and kind of that's where we are. We can start going into how we came to these numbers. If you want to do that, I can do that if you want.
I just also would
Yep.
like Chris to say a word, or Sean or both of you
Yeah.
to say a word about what's going on with Otis, because I think it's really important that everybody know about it.
Yeah, so I guess just a general spiel. So last year we went to the town, we had multiple meetings about making a 3-year plan to get our staffing at kind of a stable minimum staffing level. Just went through that. Obviously, we got 3 jobs, 3 full-timers, 2 of the chiefs of us, and then hired Seamus. And then we did the 2.5 override for the 1.1 billion that would be added to the budget at the end of the 3 years. That was voted for. That was a pretty good number. So here, phase 2, looking for the 3 additional firefighter EMTs. So one of the big components this year that we've been working towards is, if you want to call it regional or shared service, shared personnel, whatever you would want to call it. So we've been working really good with Otis of trying to build a program that can benefit both towns, being that our staffing level is low, their staffing level is low. Let's utilize full-time staffing to help supplement both ways. So we were supposed to have a meeting last week. What was that? Wednesday, Thursday. And we ended up on that tractor trailer crash on Route 8, which we were unable to get the meeting done. But they had their select board, Susan, Roger, they are willing to sit down at the table and do our ambulance service with our services going back to them as fire department or helping. So essentially their 2 people come to our transports and we will run their calls with our 2 people that are on duty here. And at this point, it's looking at like there'd be no cost, a 0 for that service, for their transports.
Or basic and.
For the base, so so they are an EMT basic level organization. Obviously Southern Berkshire is ALS, higher level care. So that is something that needs to be worked out of the calls that do require ALS service. Not all of them do, portion of them do, of working with Southern Berkshire or however this plays out, of making sure that that's covered. And we have a contractor. Otis Ambulance would ultimately be the one that has the contract.
So just logistically, excuse me,
Yep.
if the call came in, dispatch would go to Otis Ambulance for us. And then Otis Ambulance would say, hey, from the call, or now we're on site and we need paramedics or ALS done.
Yeah, so there's been,
That would then trigger the.
this
that would
past
come
year,
out of
there's been,
dispatch.
correct, there's a lot has been changing. State 911 has taken over the dispatch center. So hopefully in the next, give it 5 years, we'll have a really positive return, but,
They have gotten it so where they can code the call. Code is the right word for it, but prioritize the call right out of the gate, whether it's an ALS call, and they would,
automatically.
They will
They have a
automatically,
running code for that.
yeah.
It's automatically dispatched. So, an EMS call in Monterey, we would be dispatched as the Monterey Fire Department, as we always are. Otis would be dispatched automatically as our transport. And then if it's an ALS call up front, so chest pain, right, automatic ALS call, they would automatically dispatch Southern Berkshire or our ALS service.
That's part of the reason when you're on the phone with 911, because I've had a lot of complaints as of lately. It takes forever to get you guys dispatched, and it's because they're asking all the questions coming down through the list so they know who they're to be sending the appropriate people, so.
I got some questions. Would, under this, that every call in notice, does that mean we would respond to?
Every call, no. So it is a shared, so the compensation part of the 150,000 going to Southern Berkshire, it's a mutual shared service, so. So even kind of, we've been doing a test run on how it would work. We don't do like power line down, trees down, what we would call a service call that is not emergent, right? But fire alarms, COs, that type of a call, we would be going to them. And if we have a fire alarm, CO here, there's a whole list, they would be coming to us automatic.
But is that a change from what we used to do? If you had a CO call, would you have another fire department come, or is that, are we adding more people to the run?
We're adding more people to the run, but we
Because
also
our
had
numbers are
18
down.
people showing up
Right, years ago.
years ago. So we could staff, we had the appropriate amount of help to staff our own call.
So like we did a fire alarm today. Susan was in a meeting there.
Happily, I had finished. I was actually interviewing Seamus about his, like, his time at it, and it was good. I had pretty much asked the last question, and the alarm goes off. Everyone did it right.
So for the fire alarm today, we got, so Seamus happened to be there doing that. And I was there. And we left and we got Dennis McCarthy to show up and take the squad and that. So our tanker didn't get out the door today. So our staffing is way down. So this, everyone wants to regionalize, and this is a really good start of.
I'm gonna share my opinion. You know, you and I have talked about the numbers of runs we've made to Otis, and Otis has not returned. And about, Brittany's, well, 7 calls, 5 is, if we had people. So that, to me, I'm gonna say, doesn't look like a, fair system. And now you're saying, let's go do a contract with them. I hope we hold them to the same standards that we're holding Sanford to.
So there's
multiple
multiple,
changes coming.
Yeah, well,
Well,
that's a year later.
so there's multiple issues.
Whoa, Frank, timeouts.
No.
Let them finish what they're about to
Let me talk,
respond
please.
before you,
We like to cut
before
me
you
off.
assume.
Stop.
Oh, mutual shit.
So this was a trial run with Otis. There was no contract made. There was just, this was a gentleman's handshake at the end of the day to see how this would work. Otis ambulance was failing, fire department's failing, not failing, but floundering. We tried this to see how it would work. And we've always talked that in the future, we can mutually go both ways equally. So The funny thing, the weird part of it was Otis Ambulance was not part of the municipality, it was private.
Right, yeah.
So that just came together. What people don't realize is January 1st was, they finally solidified with the state, bringing the private company to the municipality. So we're only a few days into this new year from January 1st to actually having, and now the town hall is committing to hiring essentially 24/7, July 1st, if it passes, will be staffed 24/7 with 2 people.
So how many full-time do they have now?
Or currently 4 and some per diem people.
That's Otis USO.
We're seeing, it's going in a positive direction versus a negative direction.
Yeah.
So
And they're working
Well,
on bringing.
Yeah.
Before, the private Otis Ambulance Company was just an ambulance company, it had nothing to do with the fire department. So now they're hiring, they're transitioning to firefighter EMTs to be able to cross-staff fire trucks, both sides. So,
Could you just clear up for me? What's the status of the private company? Are they now out or are they
Yes.
enhanced?
no, the private company's done, I don't know if it's
Okay,
officially
so it's now all
dissolved by the state.
municipally managed
all
and all.
municipal.
Oh, okay.
there's a couple
It was a little
loose
bit
ends left,
confusing.
but the big
Okay.
nuts and bolts of it.
Another issue, Frank, was, so we run, just call it for general numbers, half of our calls are EMS calls. So there was kind of a legality issue and an issue with Southern Berkshire that they raised of, so Otis Ambulance was beating Southern Berkshire to calls. So now we haven't, but the town of Monterey has a contract with Southern Berkshire to do the transports. So now we have an ambulance that is on scene and you're waiting for Southern Berkshire to do the transport. So there was some uneasy feelings of whether they should be coming or not.
Where's the
The
liability?
delay of,
stand?
essentially delay of
Especially
care.
if somebody dies in the
Yeah.
process.
So that's one layer in there that our thought, and yes, if they don't come, if we go to 100% of their calls and they don't come to our, that's not right, but. They're hiring, staffing. The intent when we started was to help their ambulance out, right? So a lot of nights they were missing their calls, so if we could provide a driver, that way they could actually run that call and do the transport. We only, since we started, I've driven their ambulance once, Seamus drove it once, and he drove it once. So they've been, from when we started, they've really been changing the program and getting it solidified. So if we do an agreement, actually have it on paper, they're doing our transport, and then they start floundering, now we have something to talk about and be upset about.
So I guess my last comment is that when we talked about in the meetings last year with the residents, we talked about the mutual stuff between Otis and us. We didn't tell them the number of calls would jump by that percentage. So it wasn't transparent to me.
The number of what calls?
Calls. going to
You mean that
Otis,
we would go
going to
on?
Otis.
Don't know if that's accurate, but
It wasn't, you didn't convey that,
I think we did
did,
convey
yeah.
that we were actively trying to work with other towns and work out
Yeah,
cooperative
but you didn't
agreements.
tell them you were out of town calls.
Because I think that evolved after the meeting.
And
Just a quick question. Yep. We're short-staffed now here in Monterey. Which means, as I hear that we're short-staffed for our stuff. Just on an average, because you can't predict it, of course, too accurately. If you have 3 things in one night, you could have nothing for a week. But if we have trouble handling Monterey's calls, and we add to that workload all of Otis, are we go automatically to anything that's not a cat in a tree, so to speak. We go automatically to Otis. Then aren't we, in a sense, even more depleted in terms of our staffing to calls ratio, if that's a number?
Right.
Aren't we more depleted as opposed to doing something where the closest unit goes as opposed to everybody goes?
Unfortunately, the dispatch
Can't do
is
that
not capable of doing that, right? And
yet. But can we manage?
almost the closest resource is almost the town line, that's close-ish.
We'll say we've handled it for 80 calls plus.
So that was one concern that we had was, we wanted to look at, all right, we double up calls, right? Or an Otis, we have a call, or
Somebody in West
they're
Monterey
here
calls.
and they have a call, right?
How do we handle that?
We have yet
I face that.
to face that.
Because our
We've
incidents.
had back-to-backs where we've left one call, pagers going off for Otis, and we've gone to that.
But the incidence is rather low, so you don't wind up getting jammed up that way. So
In
I'm
the scope
guessing
of the fire service and the EMS service, the call volume is low. Like, it's really low, so.
But you can't necessarily staff it well.
And part of the, and that's why we're looking at most of the calls, them coming to us, unless it's like a
Right.
confirmed fire, that they come in their in the ambulance.
Yeah.
To keep their ambulance in service, right? So if they're coming to us to a fire alarm and they get an EMS run, they can return to their medical
Is
call.
it true that an EMS person who's also a firefighter has to fight the fire, the EMS on site?
It's whatever is needed. If
So
they're,
it's
if they're
whatever-
trained as a firefighter, yeah, they can.
But whoever's in command on that incident could then say, you need to help this person with smoke inhalation, no, you need to go put out the fire. If you're double trained.
And we've had a few calls this year, specifically this winter, where we've actually utilized so they come over for, one was a fire alarm, other end of the lake, steep driveway. Might have been icy that day, I forget what it was.
We could get apparatus.
Our ladder truck was like, one of these ones like, all right, if it's on fire, we'll go there and we'll figure out a way to get out. No one else showed up, so it was just our ladder truck. Our squad didn't respond, our pickup truck, small truck. Otis showed up. We loaded our tools and our personnel, a few of us that we had, into their ambulance, and up the driveway we went. And that one actually ended up being, we thought it was gonna be something. We opened up some doors and got blasted with steam and stuff, but, we've had a few. We did one on Elf and Rock, same thing, snow tight, nasty driveway down into something, and they were there, and we got in their ambulance, and we were able to move our tools and equipment down. It's been a positive for us.
And they also assisted in that, so they took like
Right.
gear from us to use.
So so the ones that are called firefighters have their gear on the ambulance, so they're able to gear up and they grab an air pack off of our truck, and they're able to be put to work if needed. And as far as going to Otis, the added call volume, that's been a positive for gaining experience. We're seeing calls that we don't get here, right?
Well, it's great for the volunteers or the newbie.
Yeah.
The newbie experience.
This business is off of experience, right? So like so Seamus just graduated with his fire 1, 2 through the fire academy. That's like a baseline training. Now it starts from there. It's the experience that you get that makes you good
And
safe.
We can see the differences in who's getting a lot more experience versus minimal. And, they're much more fluent in what they're doing. It's been a good thing.
And I agree 100% that they need to be if this is the deal we made, then it needs to be held accountable. So I agree.
You could make a deal where you say that there's whatever you say there's a range of difference. And we expect to be in this range of difference. And if we're out of this range of difference, then there's, at the end of the year, there's a settle off or true up, and here's what it's gonna be. Decide all that in advance. So for every, we expect there to be a range, I'll make this up, and it may not be realistic, of 10 calls. We're in that 10 call range. We're not gonna worry about that. That's like we go out to dinner, we don't worry that one guy had the steak and one person had fish.
Yep.
But if you're ordering $100 bottle of wine, now that's outside the range.
Right.
If I don't have wine, that's outside the range, and then we're gonna have some type of true up, but you decide that in advance, so it's not negotiated
Right,
later.
it's not a fight in the middle.
If Otis has 4 full-time firefighters, how do they staff the station?
They're talking about going to 6.
They're going to 6. Obviously, this is subject to going to the
But I mean, what
county.
did they do before that? What did they do last year?
So last year, they had, like an on-call, at-home on-call thing.
Okay,
It
no,
was not
no.
successful,
Why isn't that successful?
because no one wants to do it. That's
How-
why,
how
that's
much
why
are
this
they-
is failing.
how-
That's where we started.
How much are they paying per hour?
As
You don't know what they're paying an hour?
far as what? On-call thing?
They're men.
They're full-timer
No,
or
they're on call.
they're at-home
It's
stuff?
a stipend thing, I believe. And I'm not 100% sure.
It's 50 or 75 bucks for the night.
How much are they paying an hour when they come in?
I think the full-timers are in the $30 an hour range.
Yeah, how about the call home guys? How much do they get paid an hour?
EMS or fire?
Fire.
It's free.
It's
Well,
all-
I don't think they have a stipend.
small-
Yeah, it's minimal.
Okay, that's the problem, is we got all this money and we're going there and doing all their work and the town doesn't even want to pay their men. I think what we're paying is $50,
But it's not
$100,
working here either, Roger.
$100 to show up and a 2-hour minimum and $50 an hour. If other towns don't want to do that, then I don't think we should be looking at those numbers. The town of New Marlboro, the town of Sandusville. Plain and simple. And I would not be involved with the fire company if I had to sleep at the fire station. If you demand a 5-minute out the door with those trucks, and it's 10 minutes, if I sleep at home, then that's the way it is. And we can afford to pay our taxes, and we can afford to live in this town, but with those kind of numbers, I don't see it. I just don't see it. I talked to the fire chief, and he wants another full-time position, the police chief. And I said, how many calls do you have between 12 and 8 in the morning a month? He said, we have 1. Well, the town of New Marlboro probably has 1. So why isn't it town of Monterey and the town of New Marlboro sharing services from 12 midnight to 8 in the morning?
That's exactly what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
trying to
well,
accomplish
what we have to do in this town is we have to have some input from the top down. We cannot have, and it's not your fault. You guys are trying to build a department, but I think we have to have some input from the top down, from the townspeople, from the select board, from the finance committee. And I'm trying to regionalize things, because I don't see why we can't take over New Marlboro.
They don't want to.
I'm not sure.
They
Huh?
don't want to.
Well, then why are we going there then?
We're going mutual aid when they
No.
call for our help.
Well, they're glad to have it, and the people in New Marlboro I talked to said we should be charging them. They can't believe we're going over there for all these calls. So what I'm saying,
How many calls have we
How
gone?
many
to
do you think
Marlboro?
we're
It's
going
not that many.
It's, he has to,
It's minimal.
It's minimal.
the calls that have substance as far as volume is to Otis, and that's because we started this program. Other than that, we go to New Marlboro, we go to Great
Okay,
Barrington, we
so-
go to Egremont, we go to Lee, we go to
I think
Lennox,
The mutual aid
like-
is one thing, that's one thing, the automatic.
and that's
billing is a different thing.
been done. The mutual aid has been done
And-
forever.
That's life. That's right around the country.
And that's around the country.
That's around the country.
I think to Roger's point, and Susan just said that they're gonna have 6 and we're gonna have 6, and if we're talking about Otis. So that feels better balanced, but let's just say that we have 6 and Otis has 4. So then we're contributing 60% of the staffing, let's say, to this partnership of sorts, and they're only contributing 40%. And what if we have 6 and they have 3 because somebody is out or left or quit or got fired? Now we're doing 2/3, 1/3.
Right, and I think that's what.
And that's where it gets really messy and it's not equitable.
Right, and I think it needs to be clear, it's one thing if somebody's sick or broke a leg or something, but if at the end of the year, they haven't hired 2 more full-time people to make that commitment, that's
Then we're
different
in-
from an
yeah.
injury, so.
Right.
And if it's not in their budget when they go to town meeting, that's also.
Yes.
Yeah, so-
And I think too,
That's a good test of it.
Yeah,
Roger, to your point of having the input of the town, we did get the input of town. Susan, they hosted multiple meetings, public meetings last year. Voted for the 3 full-time to start with, because it was presented as a 3-year plan, 3-phase plan.
Well-
And they voted the 1.1 million override was for the end of the 3-year
Yeah.
plan, which had been presented to the public. Plenty of, so to say that there has been no input from the public isn't.
If you're gonna have these other towns step up to the plate, it's not gonna be between you two. It's gonna be the higher ups. It's gonna be the select board.
but that's why we're sitting down with Otis Select Board on the
Yeah.
26th for exactly that.
It was supposed to have been last
Yeah, it
Thursday.
would have been last week, but.
We were cutting some poor guy out of a tractor trailer head-on collision. That
I
was a
think it's-
technical rescue and, I mean, we had a pretty bad day Thursday, Roger, so.
No, I'm not saying, I understand that.
And the
The
whole
guy was
idea,
worse and we were.
the whole idea, it's always been talked about, is shared services in the South County. You know, I don't think there's ever been talk about us taking over other fire departments, but to your point, we have to go, shared services is mutual.
Right.
So there are, I think as a community, we're more than happy to do shared services with fire and police, but some of the other towns aren't admitting that they
Well,
need the
okay,
shared
well, then
services.
if they get
So-
bills for when we go there, maybe they're gonna think differently.
I don't know if we can, if we go for fire.
Well,
for
okay, if
mutual aid.
if
And
they
we don't
want
do
to.
enough. We're not going to New Marlboro enough. Because when we send them a bill, they're not gonna, either A, they're never gonna call you again. And B,
Well, what are
They're
they
not
gonna,
gonna send
what are they
anything.
gonna do? They don't have any men. What are they gonna do?
we need tankers, we need
They're going,
water.
they're gonna step up to the plate. They're gonna step up to the plate.
I hope they do.
Okay.
That's,
Well, I'm
I
sorry.
hope every town
I know you
steps up.
want them to.
I think one problem that happens, we're spending too much time looking in the rearview mirror, the way it used to be. It's different. It's different. Last year, we decided it's a whole new ballgame, and we keep talking about, well, this is what used to happen, or, this is what was wrong with mutual aid. But we can't do that anymore. I think every town is facing the same problem. And whether they do it sooner or later, I think every town has got to face this problem. And I think where we are right now, vis-a-vis other towns, is way ahead of where we were a year ago with the same discussion. There's much more movement with other towns as they come to realize their own situations. And, all the towns are in the same boat. Now, the one thing that I think all towns are struggling with the same budget, but there's one big thing that I keep thinking about. Of the 4 towns that we probably interact with, Monterey, Otis, Sandusfield, and New Marlboro, 3 of those towns have ambulances, and 1 doesn't. That's us. That's a big buck expenditure for those 3 towns. So it bothers me to think that, they're not doing anything. Man, where are they coming up with the money for 3 ambulances? That's a pretty big commitment. So I feel like we're moving as slowly towns realize. It's not just those. There are other towns in the county are doing the same thing. But I'm really worried too much about getting bogged down in statistics about what it was. And let's look forward, because it's really, looking historically, is so different. And I just feel like we got need to think more
Yeah.
proactively about
I
that.
think you're right, Steve, because 5+ years ago, to have this discussion about regionalization, shared services, you would have been shunned out of the room. That regional is a really bad word. Now it's starting to soften and having
nationwide.
nationwide.
And it's
We
small
don't have a
communities to
choice.
medium to big cities.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing it.
And, to your point of the ambulances and us not having one, I was hoping to have this on paper for tonight, but I didn't get there fully. But Otis does more for us than what we realize when you start putting it on paper and as far as dollars and cents. It's actually pretty close, even though their call runs over here are down. Dollars and cents, they're down, but we're close. They're doing their part.
I mean,
And
there's-
we
I
just
think
need 'em
there's
to step
good reasons
up a
why
little
we don't
more.
have the ambulance. I don't bring that up to say it's negative.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I just say, well, let's not denigrate those other three towns and say, well, they're not doing anything, because that's
100,
absolutely not
I
true.
agree.
They want to do something. They're struggling. And if I look at the tax rates of those four towns, they're tight as can be. They're all right in there. Otis is lower. New Marlboro is 1 penny different than Monterey. So they're all spending the same rates and trying to get to a certain place. And then don't forget that Sheffield is taxes are 50% higher than Monterey's. Great Barrington is almost 100% higher than Monterey's. So, it's kind of relative to who's spending money and who's not. And that's why I hate getting bogged down in who's making calls and not making calls, because the statistics of this thing can drive you crazy.
Yeah, and
And that's why I
So
feel like
if we had, Otis send their ambulances here whenever we had an ambulance call, what would that do to our contract?
I wanted to ask that too. I'm not sure.
Would we
Hearing what
negotiate a
we're
different
talking about
contract
with
with
Otis,
them
how
and
does
not
that impact our 150 grand?
but let's say,
That's the question.
We would probably negotiate like some of the other towns, an ALS agreement and ASCAL.
So in the last year,
Yeah, anyway, it'd be cheaper.
they purchased it's called a fly car. So one medic can drive a fly car. The point of it's to come out and intercept Otis, Sanesfield, Marlboro, all these other ambulance companies that don't have paramedics on their rigs. So they are heading in that direction of having a fly car program.
Southern Berkshire now, you're.
Southern Berkshire.
Okay.
So
But
Just gotta-
if all agree here, we need to reach out to them and come up with
They used to
They
have
need
a
to-
fly car. Did
we,
they do away
our
with it?
chief's buggy is the old
Yeah,
fly
oh,
car.
yeah.
yes.
I think Patrick was pretty clear last Thursday that it's not like they're happy to hear this. I understand that they feel frustrated that they gave us the budget quite a while back, and here we are, I'll call it at the 11th hour. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to work out an IMA, you can only go as fast as the slowest partner is willing to go. And given that Otis's ambulance didn't actually come under town purview till January 1st, and they were very uncomfortable making any plans until that was finalized, I honestly, 2 months later, I think we're doing pretty good based on the timing for other IMAs and other big agreements.
If we figured out that we have X number of calls a year, and for the last 5 years, we've had X number of calls a year, give or take. It's not like way off, but,
Right.
and we said, okay, so divide that by dollars per call, multiply that by dollars per call, or divide it, and say, okay, here's the contract. And if it could be tens of thousands of dollars cheaper than we're paying now.
Well, the proposal's for $157,000 for
Right.
If they
2027.
collect insurance, they do that.
I mean, I feel for them. I understand it will create a shortfall. If I could have done this
That's not,
earlier, I would have. But at the end of the day, for 3 years, when did they first come to us with a 50,000?
it went up
3 years?
every year, it's
For
gone up
sure.
a huge amount.
About 50,000
I've
a year.
been like putting effort into saying, hey, this is not an equitable way to distribute the costs. We feel we're being overcharged. We're paying like, what, 2.5 times what Barrington's paying for an ambulance call. And basically, they just kept shutting me down, to the
And our
point where they told me,
responsibility-
well, get the other towns to agree. I'm like,
Our responsibility is not to them. Our
I know.
I know you know.
but I'm just saying, I
Our
think
responsibility is to
I
our
let them
taxpayer.
know that we were very
And if we
unhappy
say,
with the
Otis
apportionment.
can come in and do all of this other stuff except the ALS, and we can even get the transports going, and then we only need you, Berkshire, to come when we have
An ALS.
an ALS. Then, and that saves us whatever the number is, but it's not a trivial number.
Maybe
theoretically.
120K.
Maybe even 75, maybe 50. Maybe it saves us a salary, you know? That starts to become real money as opposed to having Otis doing what they're doing, presuming they can do it and really be here. And then also paying Southern Berkshire.
There's a philosophy in budgeting. You can go so far with utilization. But in public safety, I spent many years budgeting hospitals. How many beds? 500 beds. How many are gonna be full every day? 40%, 80%, whatever. You need nurses for 100%, right? So you got empty beds, you're paying nurses to do nothing. That's that kind of thing. In public safety, you're paying for capacity.
That's what I
We're
just
paying
said,
for
right?
capacity. We're not paying based on number of
Yeah, you have-
calls.
You have,
We're
if you have
paying for
6
what might
officers-
never happen,
Right,
but it's insurance.
right.
And we don't think about it enough as insurance. We think about it as, oh, how many calls? They did this call, they did that call.
No, it's about
It's
capacity.
really not. It's
Right.
not, you can't. It's what you want for a service to be there.
If your
when you
house goes
call.
up at 2 a.m, you want the guys next door to you to be somebody to be
Believe
there.
me, last June we did it. They came shooting over there. We got the fastest service anybody in town ever got.
I don't
Because
know
they all
why.
happened to be training at the same time. So we got 10 guys within 4 minutes. I spent more time talking to 911
Maybe
than for them to come. So
No,
what are you
but
asking me these questions
you're
for? They're on the way.
You're absolutely right, it's about capacity.
And that's
but
really
I
the
don't
most
wanna
important.
I don't necessarily want us, I don't mean me, but want us to pay for capacity that we don't need, like having Southern Berkshire always on call for us, when half of the time we might really have Otis on call for
I mean,
ambulance service. And our citizens, by the way, are complaining, we talked about this before, are complaining that the tax rate for some of them is really a burden right now. And we may say it's half of GB, but if you're on a fixed income and you have no other income except your, whatever it is, and we keep going up, they can't, they're, you know, having less for dinner and less heat.
I can't conceive. Mickey, you had something you wanted to chime in? I can't even see you buying.
Nope, sorry.
Yeah, talking about the money. And it is unfortunately about the money. Our taxes went up this year 14.3%. Nobody was ready for that. Absolutely no one was, and we were all horrifically shocked. Looking back over the past 3 years, it's been over 40% increase in our taxes. So these things are hurting our people, like you say, on fixed incomes. Well, you know, and we are, a lot of us are retired and everything else, and I'm not going to say I'm poor or anything, but I don't want to see, I can turn my heat on when it's, if I'm gonna leave the house by noontime, I don't turn my heat up. Because why should I? I'll be out for a couple of hours, so it's things like that that we do. I don't regret doing it, I'm frugal, but going up 14.3% is not comfortable. Now, what are we gonna do this year? By adding these extra 3 people on, just in their salary, that's $250,000. $250,000 more, and that's just the salaries. You got the healthcare. We're not counting the retirement because we don't count that number till next year, but the number has got to be
It's gonna be
counted
here to
because
pay
it
it
is going to
anyway,
be there next year. So you have to figure that in the numbers this year, even though it's not on that page, it figures into how much this is costing us. So I would hope that you could think about waiting another year before you add another 3 people, because this impact was horrific for so many people. And I hate to think of things just on a money problem, but we have other services, other needs in this town. We can't be thinking the only increase is gonna go to the fire company. And I know you guys would like to go only to the fire company, but we can't
They
do
live
it
there
that way.
too. I don't think that's fair.
Well, everybody kind of thinks that way.
What did-
You
what
know,
did
my
the
money
town
is more
approve
important
last
than
year?
your money. But,
I'm sorry.
we have to think on the whole picture of the budget. Everybody is trying to be careful, and I hear, somebody wants to add another person onto their staff, or somebody needs to be a full-time worker or something, and well, we can't do that. So a lot of workers are working like Walmart or McDonald's, they only get half-time, because we don't want to put full-time people on staff, because then we have to pay the money. That's not on the books. So I just think that, unfortunately, the dollars and cents has to come into this.
What did the town approve last year on the warrant or after the warrant discussion?
Wait, 1.1 million override, which means that our capacity increase the budget is typically 2.5% a year.
And we got one.
And the state allows towns to tax themselves at a greater rate than that if the town votes to override
And the town voted
Proposition
for
2.5.
that.
And the town voted 90%, 10%, I think it was, something like that, to add $1.5 million on top of the 2.5 to cover the 3-year increase of going to a
So
full-time.
that's what the town, as the boss of the select board, so to speak, what the town voted to do. Whether we only had 10% of the people there or all 1,000, that's what the town voted to do. And on the budget that we see up here, Roger, if we look at 26 approved, and there's the 716 and change, and then the request is 393. And just to make sure we're all on the same page, can you explain why there's a negative 323? Where's the savings coming from? Is that just redistributed?
It's just
That's what I
redistribution,
thought.
yeah, so.
I just wanted to be clear.
So it's been redistributed into, to the different
Individual salary
individual
lines.
On the
salary
warrant
lines.
last year, we gave the taxpayers the option. Here's 3 full, if you opt not to go with full-time, we put that extra cost into a special article. But we told the town that will come into the budget for this year if you approve it. The town went and had a vote, had polls, and approved that override. And so that way, that special article ended up being added into the line item budget.
So if we went to the town now, just theoretically, I'm not pushing for this either way, but if we went to the town and we said, hey, we decided we don't need or want or whatever 3 new firefighters, we only want 2 or 1 or 0 of those. The town would say what to us, presumably, because they already approved it.
Well, there's a difference. The override is just the capacity to raise your budget.
You don't have to.
Every year, the town voters get to decide on the budget. So it is true that this year, this whole issue has to be voted on again. The new firemen have to be voted on again. It's a new budget. Even though we have the capacity, we do have enough capacity according
So
to the
that's just
state.
the capacity, but you
Increase
don't
our
have to
budget
use it.
over and above the 2.5%. So we have the capacity.
But you don't
That's
have to
important.
use it.
But now the voters still get to look at the budget this year and decide if they want to go there.
And running the numbers, because last year we didn't have any pension numbers of adding new people to it. So it's a pretty quasi unspecific thing, but based on what we came up with the pension numbers and the pension of at the end of 3 years with 9, we are within that 1.1.
So to be clear, the select board, not the finance committee, of course, but the select board would say, this is what we want on the warrant. And then the town says, yay or nay, or amends it.
Yes.
Right. So the select board is not making the decision, the town is making the
Now,
decision.
the select board and the finance committee are recommending what we vote.
The select board doesn't have to
Whatever
listen
we
to us,
vote.
as a matter of fact.
And
I could say,
makes it,
thank you very
Well,
much for your
they can still recommend, you can still recommend.
Right, but you ultimately decide what's on the warrant. the town then says, do we accept that or do we not accept it?
I think the trickiest thing for this too is that, like, last year we put it in a separate article because it's very hard when people try to make changes on the floor if there are not weird, but associated downstream effects that people don't know the numbers for, right? You can zero out one salary, but you're not necessarily also amending whatever associated costs there are with that person. So it can be a little tricky. I'm not really keen on doing another special article though, because I think that's also, it has its own awkward thing. So I don't have a great solution. I'm just putting out what the problem is. Like if we wanted to say, well, let's put this on the warrant and let people decide how to do that in a responsible way so that there's clarity for everything, is a question.
I did want to say that the payroll piece of the fire department's budget, not the expenses or the lease, is going up $295,637. So that's just the payroll piece.
And Roger, what is our levy capacity now? That was redone, I know.
1,091,000.
1,091,000.
Question, please. Is this put two people on a shift?
2026.
2 people per shift.
That's for 24/7. Is that where we want to do from on out, or do we want to add, is this the last addition? Or-
What we proposed the plan is to end up with 3 on 24/7.
And what drives to 3, if we don't have an ambulance, what drives to 3?
To allow, we're not even so NFPA says that you need 4 on a truck to operate safely initially on a fire scene.
They recommend because it all comes, it's all based on
So-
our ability to pay our taxes.
So we could be sitting here trying to meet all our NFPA regulations. We're shooting, we would like to be at 3. We have a driver, pump operator, and 2 people to work the incident, hose lines, whatever, searching. So,
But if you had a situation here, if fire, you would call Otis, I take it, if we had that mutual agreement. So does that meaning play into the role of the number of people in the fire?
right, I believe NFPA, it's somewhere around, they recommend, they want 12 minimum within, I can't rattle off without pulling the book out. But it's around 12 or 16 within a certain amount of minutes of time of dispatch on this. It's a structure fires, these incidents, tractor trailer wreck we just did, it's a labor intensive, it's.
That was happening by Berkshire Eagle, Matt, that happened right from the fire station.
No, it was, where's this?
The
Tractor
accident
trailer. It was
Thursday.
down south. Couple miles south.
Oh, a couple of days.
It was back
Curves?
It's like,
It's a bad section down there.
There's a curves section before you get to, New Boston.
Yeah.
Not quite down there.
By the river.
Or Reservoir Road.
So I'll go back to my question. So this would take us 2 people per shift, and you say ultimately we would like to have 3. How many additional bodies is that?
that'd be 3.
That'd be 3 more, right?
So 3 people
3
to
additional.
do 24/7? Or 8, do, how would that work?
We're doing a 3 shift. So 3 of us are
Okay.
making up 24/7. So
Okay.
like right now, there's 3 full timers and there's 1 of us there 24/7. We work 48 on and 4 days off.
So the original plan in Susan's presentation was 3 phase, preferably 3 years. 3 years, 3 phased, 3, and 3 coming on board, which equaled that 1.1-ish or whatever that number was for an override.
We hope it's enough.
Based on, I think you guys were talking, the pension numbers that we got back for this year and plugging that into the 3-year plan, we're within that 1.1.
Well, we've already gotten, see, we thought we might need an override to get through this year's budget, but we didn't. So that 1.1 just got added in addition to 2.5%. And that's how we come up with that 1.1 now. But we didn't use too much of that. So, I mean, if we thought we would need to use that for 3 years. We thought we'd need to use it for year one. We didn't need to use it because we used so much free cash and other transfers in. It was almost 600. 600,000 of other revenues.
On the other for
But we had $6 million appropriated, but the taxpayers only paid 5.4 million of it.
See if some more.
We might not have that much other revenue this year, I don't.
What's the starting rate that you have up there?
Starting,
Is that, I take it that's that 52 or 54 hours?
The 8184, that starting rate is, what was that, $30 an hour.
How does
Same
that
thing.
compare to other townships?
Spot on.
Spot
If not
on
getting
with
whisper lower.
Egremont, who's doing similar program to what we're doing.
What about the living? You talked to me, Chris, about having where you would have keep, I don't know, what they bumper or the
Yeah.
living
Living program,
program.
resident, something.
Have you done any research on that?
Done a lot of research. We're getting our facility. One of the things we didn't want to do was advertise. Like we just got the kitchens up and going, and we need the facility to be ready to make it attractive for someone to come and actually do it. So
you guys
we got our
have,
gym in now.
you got new mattresses,
We got the mattresses.
Kitchen's
kitchen,
done-ish. So
weight room.
the weight room. So we're there.
it's a project. And it's just one more thing on that list of many others to get going on.
At least we have bumps, which is not the case for some.
Yeah, I mean, I know Otis, if I remember right, Otis doesn't have bumps, right?
They're shifting some things around to make it work, but yeah, it's.
How are they handling the night part? Are they just doing shorter shifts so they don't sleep, or what's the deal?
They have the
Nope.
same chairs that we have.
They
and
bought them.
They
Some of them sleep in
those.
there. I think last I knew, they were waiting on facilities for people to move some wiring and stuff in one of the offices.
Far from.
And you need to be rested when you, as best you can when you go out there. Especially at the end of the 48 hours.
Correct.
I mean, I definitely, at the end of the day, we'd have to see Otis's budget too, right? Like, no question. Even with the IMA, we need to know that they're putting their money where their mouth is if we're going forward with a cooperative agreement.
Well, I don't think that's unreasonable.
No, I
You know,
don't.
we'll show you ours.
It's a public document anyway.
Right.
I mean, I called them, I got it.
And if you're doing a partnership, you.
The
you
2027
put each other's
budget.
books.
Not the 20, the one.
Right, I wanna see the 2027
Yeah.
budget, because the 2026 budget isn't really,
Yeah,
relevant.
unfortunately, Thursday happened between the weather and the wreck, and
Yep.
we were hoping to have more solid information for tonight.
Well, I think this has been very helpful, for me anyway, in terms of clarifying things that could lead to misunderstandings.
do you guys
It's
have
easy.
do you guys have any more questions?
Now at this point, I'm sure when I walk.
Well, there was
the door.
one, we discussed the potential of adding 6 people. But it doesn't feel like there's a big appetite to do that right now.
Doesn't seem that way.
I would like to.
Yeah,
That way
okay.
we could do all the training and get it done. And
Yeah, and then you had worked up some numbers to figure that you would have a reduction of expense in your temporary people. And that savings would pay for 3 other people, so that right now we have 3 new people in the budget. We would do year 3 right away, and we talked about that, because I was one of the people that met with them, with Roger, and you also, right? About hearing about this thought about doing it, and I don't know.
Salaries,
the
the
associate
salaries end up very close to being what we're adding this year by changing some stuff around. It's the pension that
And the
next
health
year would be for 6 people and 25,000 each.
And the pension and the health are like
Right.
huge.
So
She's
that,
almost
that,
one
that's
hundred this one.
difference.
So, yeah,
Close, it's
so
like
it's, the
2/3.
salary might work the same, but all those extra people that are paying for weekends and nights, they're not getting any benefits.
Right.
So if you convert that to a full-time person with benefits, then you don't really have a equality between that cost. So that's-
I have a question. Because I mean, sometimes I really struggle to see how other towns can afford this. Hypothetically, you can't hold me responsible for this. But what if Otis Fire Department was up here and you had those people there, is it too far of a run to go to Otis? I mean, if you're gonna do regionalization, it's crazy that we're gonna have like 9 people here and they're gonna have 6 down there. They could be the third person or something like that, you know, you could split that labor up among them.
Which, two
Response
things,
times.
yeah, so, I mean, we're not gonna have 9 here all the time.
I know, but
It's
I
gonna
mean-
be three on, ideally 3.
Right.
It probably should be more, in the real world, it should be more, but we're shooting for the 3. And then the response times, I think to the other side of the reservoir is 24, 26 minutes to, like,
Yeah,
what the
so
road
Otis
is.
Reservoir,
Yeah,
right.
from the town
I can tell
side,
you,
so.
it's 18 miles to Otis, just a land foot by.
Yeah, so,
And you can't go,
It's
you know,
what
it's
you're-
not like you're on the interstate, you can just like
Right.
pedal to the metal, you know.
That's
you
right.
can't just have
Our,
pedal to the
our
metal here
roads are not
When
designed.
it's, when it's black ice especially, you know.
I mean, we went really slow the other day. I was his navigator of ice. Slow down.
But even
All
if it's
right,
not
roads
ice,
are bare,
you
yeah.
still can't go pedal to the metal
Yeah,
like you
that's
could
right.
on
Right.
the Mass
Yeah,
Pike,
on
you know,
bike
it's a
or
straight shot,
7 or something.
just do it, you know.
Yeah, and the same thing
And-
with, you throw in New Marlboro, right? They have the Clayton, that south. It's a
Long,
it's a
right, long
long,
haul.
and some really bad roads to get there, so.
I mean, if they have a waste paper basket fire down there, the house is gonna be gone by the time we get there.
From here.
Yeah,
Does-
and if you reversed it, they came here, it's gonna be the same thing.
Does Beckett have a family?
Yes. So the other thing, Roger, with the, say regionalization is, you have to start somewhere, baby steps. And then considering this a baby step, couple baby steps were taken here. And as each year goes by, things are gonna change, we're gonna see what works, what doesn't work. And we're gonna adapt to that, and hopefully there's some positive steps coming down the road to making a regional approach
But you
work.
can't do it without 911. I don't think, I don't know, maybe you can, but to my knowledge, you can't do it without 911 being able to say, this truck is closest, send that truck.
Again, baby steps, right?
And you have
And
to
they're
make
making
sure-
steps,
When
right?
they
They're-
can do that,
The transfer to
technologically,
the state.
we should be
started.
we should be
absolutely
ready.
poised, and we said, terrific, you can do it, we're here, we're ready. As opposed to then we first have to get our act together.
Because there's all sorts of different things you can do, build new fire stations in different locations.
Well, we're
but,
in the
I mean,
center.
But it's
Incentive.
It all has to be figured
Who
out.
plays the game, who
Who's
The
partakes,
center of
right?
what, the
is
center of what?
Center of
That
what,
changes
right.
the center of
Right.
whatever.
And we're having a hard enough time just playing together, just responding them here and us there, so.
But what we have seen in the past year has been dramatic. Towns, fire departments that would absolutely not be willing to talk, invite you to their fire, talk about. They're saying there's problems and
So I do think if this gets on the
things are
warrant,
changing.
this gets on the warrant, that it would be important in your presentation to the town to talk about the things that have changed already, big time, as you're saying, and to also talk about a long-term plan. That this is not just year over year, it's another 14.3%, it's another this, it's another that. That, you know, just year after year, we're just gonna bite the bullet, or we're not, to Roger's point, you know, this Roger's point, or we're not, you know, that, and too bad. And you know, you live in the Berkshires, you live in the Berkshires, so this is what it is, we can't do everything. But to really make the point that this is part of a process of moving towards regionalization.
And that there's more going on than it's very awkward despite transparency when you're like having conversations with another town that are very preliminary and no one's willing to commit to something. You can't go tell people that someone committed to something
No,
that's
you
a
can't.
preliminary discussion. You can say, we're having conversations, but then they're like, well, show me the beef, and you're like, there's no
No.
beef yet, I haven't even gone to the market, right? I'm
I'm
just, I'm
intending to
making
go to
a
the
chocolate
market.
list, I'm intending to go to
It's
the
on my
market.
to-do list.
Right, I think that it's really hard when things aren't ironed out, but the ironing out takes a long time. Mickey, did you have another?
Yeah, I just, I know that Ken had sent you a letter with his feelings, and he gave me a copy of it. And I read it over before I came here, and that's where I had gotten information that, so Great Barrington has 5,000 people compared to our one, and they've got a lot of other stuff going on there. They have one fire chief and 5 full-time employees.
There's fire chief on 40 hours a week, I believe. And then there is one firefighter 24 hours a day
I think it's
protecting that town. And they are in desperate need of help. They need a minimum of 12, I believe, too. They have proposed a plan, from what I heard, rumors, of 14 people they want to hire.
Fire station,
So they are looking into
One in
growing, 'cause I mean, I read that, and I'm
Urbana.
going like, that just,
They're the big one.
you know, why do they have 5 people and we already have, you know, we've got 3, we want to expand to 6.
Yep.
And we don't have anywhere near the issues that they have there.
One call is one call.
Well,
Whether
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
pinch
but they
finger
have-
or your house is on fire, we still need that volume of
Right,
people
but
to
it's
show
going to
up.
be my house,
They have more density.
even though when the house next door burning to me, I stayed home that night. I was supposed to go to my mother-in-law's funeral. And because,
No, well,
I wasn't there. No, actually, if I had gone.
Now, who
I-
started that
I-
far?
It would've been gone.
You did anything, huh?
Sorry.
I went. But it would be a single house. If they got a fire on Main Street,
It's everybody.
right, you know, they could just be putting out, it could be a,
Same thing in the neighborhoods there. The houses are very close. I mean, our houses are 3 acres or whatever they are in general.
yeah, you know,
They're
that's what
zoning
my
here.
daughter used to call it, the neighborhood.
So their density, they're far dense, per square mile. There's a lot more people than per square mile here.
Yeah, I mean, so it's,
But we
Virtues
can't, we
is
can't
maybe-
pretend that the demographics in this country don't exist. We don't have enough young people, period. If you talk to a college admissions counselor, they're desperate to find students to apply for college.
Well,
They're all gone.
the
They're not
number
there
of enrollment
Yeah.
in college peaked and it's starting to go down.
Yeah,
So
I mean, so it's the
the
same
large
issue.
colleges
It's,
are in
it's,
trouble.
Well,
it's
and
not,
so are regular
society's
schools.
level, we don't have the young bodies coming in. And they're kicking out all the immigrants that might
I was just gonna
possibly
say-
be available to fill some of those jobs. But, you know,
And then if they are available, they can't
that's
afford
where
it.
this whole thing started, and I feel like we keep forgetting about it and get bogged down in number of calls or something, because that's not really the issue. We don't have enough bodies. The whole industry of firefighting has shifted to a professional level because there aren't volunteers to make it. We still need volunteers to make this work.
Right.
This is
That's right.
predicated
This is
on a
volunteers,
substantial number of volunteers or people hired from other fire departments that are off duty to come in. So I mean, to make this work with 9 people still requires volunteers and other.
And you want volunteers in the mix, because they're your future
They come up
employees.
eventually. Yeah.
And Mickey, the reality is, from what I understand, I'm not an expert on Barrington, but as I understand it, the reality is they're relying on a volunteer force that's atrophying like everybody else is, and they're actually having trouble answering some calls. It's, you know, I think historically what's happened in a lot of towns, and I understand the motivation, because we're sitting here talking about it right now, is that they're waiting for, they're hoping the crisis won't arise. And the US has this history of waiting for the crisis to strike before acting. They let the bridge, we had someone stand up in a meeting, if you may recall, a former select board, say, let the bridge fail. it will force the mass government to fix the bridge. And I think there's a lot of that feeling. It may be broken, but it hasn't completely broken yet. So we'll just limp along and hope it gets better until there's a disaster and some building does burn down.
Right.
Or like, you know, there's a nearby town where we helped in a major fire. And their response is, well, mutual aid worked as it's supposed to, but I unfortunately haven't heard a lot of introspection on how their force was able to contribute to saving that building. At the end of the day, I think it'll be a terrible thing when buildings or people have to be lost because the fire department was sounding the alarm for 10 years and nobody wanted to hear it. Right, that's, and maybe you can say, well, it was only one house or one life. We should be grateful it wasn't an apartment building and 10 lives.
You know, I'm not gonna get a brake job on my car because it still stops. So far, so good.
Metal town.
I know,
I
it stops. I
wrong
hit
with that?
one person, I didn't get a school.
There you go. So I don't know if that answers
I'm
you,
not
Nikki,
saying
but
that on the record to
Ask
be
me a
like
question
quoted.
about my flash, because it just didn't sound, you know, it's so different that I wanted to know.
So
we
we're
have
all-
problems, it's-
We're all sitting on ticking time bombs.
Right.
We
And
all have
around the
our,
country.
our high hazards here. We have them, Otis has them, Barrington has some huge high hazards. They don't seem to want to acknowledge that they have. Fire gets going in Main Street of Great Barrington. I'm sure you were around for the other fires. I don't remember them, but I'm sure Roger does. There was nothing left. What's gonna happen when nothing is left in the center of Great Barrington? Because they only wanted to hire a firefighter. So, and what we do, emergency services, is all about time. For us to go back to Gedney Farm and count that we're gonna be able to save Gedney Farm, I'm not gonna bet my house that we can do it twice. We just got lucky that night. So
maybe it didn't work, we lucked out.
we
I can
lucked
go
out.
to a casino and bet on a number on the wheel and win, first bet.
Tomorrow, Gedney Farm should have went and bought a
That
lot.
doesn't mean I'm gonna walk out of there with any money in my pocket. That's second.
I want to interject something here. I had the opportunity today to talk to two people from Steve Fields, Steve and John Fields. And they, you know, they don't want to move forward. And I think John Fields, his summary was, I watched the select board video, he said that, no, if the deal is between select board and select board, we probably can make it work. There's too much politics between the fire departments and that group and so on. So I think there's something to be said there, and I would hope, I won't be here after April or May, that, you know, at least have conversations and meetings with the individuals, because if you're going to regional about, you got a big township, they got 2 ambulances. You don't know what you will learn. You may learn you won't want to do it, but don't close the door on it.
No, it's just the way you said it, I approve. Yeah.
You know, and then you got to talk to them, because they're trying to do a lot of good things. If you go back and watch the video, they said, Susan, they watched the video of you. You raised a lot of questions. They thought they should be answering those questions as a group. They made sure the fire chief was that way. I was told that later in the day. But, you know, you can't leave anybody out. You know, this cost by township is just, it's huge. And you got to look at other ways to do it. You got to listen to people. Sometimes you don't want to play with people in your sandbox, but you got to let them do it. And you got to have the rules, and you got to use data, because that takes personality out of it. So that's fine. That's what I have to say. So I would not rule out having conversations with Sandersfield just to learn what they're doing and stuff, because a lot of stuff, rumors that are out there, when you talk to Steve and John, said, oh, we've addressed that, you know. So they're rumors, so they're aware of their problem.
But we're not seeing the results of that adjustment. lot of double standards in that town right now, so.
And what do you
Unfortunately, and I don't wanna go down this road, but
We don't need to go.
we don't need to go there. We've been working with Otis for a year, 2 or 3 now, trying to get to this
And,
point.
from a select board member, I see it totally different. I noticed didn't show up at the party last year, you know? That's my opinion.
Neither did Sandusville.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
but Sandusville, we didn't talk about Sandusville as being a part of our partnership.
I
Well,
guess it's a
well, I
question.
do agree with Frank that somehow the towns have got to try to put some of the personalities that get going, that make things non-active. I think
Well,
it's got to
respect
be
is
a
earned,
constant.
so he can earn our respect. Yes.
I give you respect, not because you earned it, I give it to you just because it gets.
But it can be lost
Yes.
if the person doesn't demonstrate that they were worthy of the respect you
So I
initially
can't give
offered.
it anymore.
So, back to the budget.
Yeah, we can get out of Buddhist philosophy.
We can solve all the world's problems.
What is,
Thank you.
there's nothing currently on that capital budget about the building either, not that I'm suggesting we report on this year's budget. But, I know that you guys have projects that need to be done, particularly the floor. And it would be good to, I mean, obviously, it may be late to get that on for this season, I'm not sure, but having a real estimate for it and a clarity on what the project is, so it could be put out for bid, even if we're talking halfway through next year for next year's budget, FY 28's budget, you know what I meant? It's important that we have that number so we can put it on there. Because we know it's a need. Anybody else got anything?
Well, I don't remember the specifics, but we agreed you would do X amount of work, the kitchen. I don't know where you are, I don't remember where it's going.
We're working our way through. I think we gotta go through, we got some bills or whatever.
We got some bills that we need to get caught up on, but
What was the other work? I remember the kitchen, but I don't remember the downstairs.
Within that, the 90 that we're working
Okay,
on, the
okay.
existing budget. There was painting the building, which that's done. Kitchen, that's mostly done, other than a couple of small items. Sheetrocking the basement, taping, painting, doing some rooms down there, and the fitness room. So it's sheetrocked, it's painted, floor in the fitness area is done, fitness equipment are there. We're using it, guys are very happy about it, which is a good thing so far.
So now we're talking to the fire company, is that what just happened?
It's the fire building though, because it's relevant to the,
Did something just
to the
change?
lease.
Like the
it's relevant to
firefighters leave and
the
the fire
capital,
company came in?
it's relevant to the capital investment and the
No, we
lease
give
thing.
permission, we haven't talked about it. in a
Just
long
trying to
time.
figure out.
Yeah, we're
Mattresses.
catching up.
Yeah.
We replaced all the mattresses, dresser, that type of stuff for the bedrooms.
Wasn't
As far as
that,
in-
was there anything else on that list?
I think what I just rattled off, conference,
You did the apron and that.
Oh, we did the apron,
out front of the building.
or a strip of it to get us
Right.
in and out.
it's just a temporary fix. Till, cause that has to be tied in with the floor, so.
Conference table chairs and projector type thing.
There's 59,000 left in those capital dollars.
Okay, I think we haven't submitted some bills.
Some things you just mentioned.
A lot of it.
Yeah. Did that,
No, I just wanted.
Yeah, no, I just wanna make sure it came to completion. all right, if nobody else has any questions, we should let these guys.
Please stop up and.
Well, I wanna, I'm the sewer one here, the lease agreement, at first I told you January 9th, I didn't feel like we should have a lease agreement. It should be line items like the rest of what we did. I don't know how other people feel.
And as I understand it, the logic is that all the other departments that are paid departments have their facilities and equipment that we're paying for as part of their budget. You know, we're not, the police department isn't getting their own power supply, isn't, you know, they buy the uniforms through us, they buy the electric we're paying for, the phone, the communications we're paying for, the vehicles we're paying for, but it's part of the departmental budget, and the same for the highway. Kind of the same for the library, except they have their own board, so it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different, but that it should be a level playing field, and that all of the departments should be working on the principle that if they're a paid department and they're part of the town, that we should be handling all those things.
That's gonna be up to the fire company to decide how they wanna approach it. Because they did submit a plan, Kevin West put it together, excellent plan, strong.
What's the plan with that? Kevin, we were doing the lease negotiation, Kevin was cut out.
We
Never finished that, did we?
we ran aground, but ultimately it was gonna be.
I never signed off anything, because Kevin, after, what happened was that we had a meeting coming up, and then the former town administrator had written the law firm saying, if you wanted to use capital like this and that and all that, I can find the email for you. And the next thing Kevin was gone, and it was Dale and I sitting at the table, and it got dragged out. You know, there was a whole question about how could we use the $90,000 in capital. Susan had stated, and I had stated, that you have to come to the town and have to be voted on and so forth. You know, people, it has to be approved by the select board, with the way the warrant was written. You know, there was never a final plan. We started off with Rico, Stewart, myself, Roger. You were on the finance committee, and, you know, I mean, Kevin and I talked about it, just, next thing I know, I'm sitting there, and I got along great with Dale. We worked on it, took us months to get it done. But, you know.
But in the end, it still needed to be revisited.
It still needs to be revisited. I wholeheartedly don't agree with it. I think there's a conflict of interest. You got the two highest paid people in the town here, and then you got them up running the nonprofit. I'm not saying that we don't have a line item for improvements, just like we do anybody else. It's just, it's a regular budget. I think there's no transparency in this. You know, and honestly,
We honored coming, Chris brought in a whole proposal of what that 90,000 was gonna go towards.
Yeah,
and
well-
You're holding the carrot out in front of us still, so.
Well, it was, when the town appropriated 30 grand to build the stainless steel railings. And I got up and I said to Sean, how many bids did you get? And you said, well, we work with this one guy. And the town approved it. And then I happen to know this young lad who did the work, and his bid was 18,000, 20,000.
We used him.
You used him. But that's why I think it's, but the town appropriated the 30 grand for that particular project. So that's why.
Shouldn't you be happy that it came in under budget?
But there weren't competitive bids on it, and so.
Yeah, I think we had like a $60,000 bid or something from someone.
Yeah, I think it was six.
That's how we ended up at. But what's.
But, Cody
Yeah.
Goddard, he came in under your recommendation,
Yeah,
and he wanted to help the fire company, and he says, I can't do this job for this, but I'm trying to help you guys. Here's my number. And, so that's not always gonna work that way.
well, but what I'm saying, Sean, is that when you come to town for, 30 grand for a specific project, you have one bid. It's obvious what Frank is talking about is the more realistic way to operate, which is if you want to build a rail and you go out and get bids and you have put it on the warrant. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything the town's not going to support you guys doing. It's just that there
And
are
then we got
other
screwed
ways.
out of that 10 grand, Roger, that we were supposed to.
Well, I made sure that money didn't go because it wasn't appropriate. That was a specific funding for that
So
railing,
John
and I
Silver-
was not gonna let that go.
John Silver wanted the fire company to have 30 grand in capital a year, and that's how we got to the 90, because it's 30 grand a year. And
Well, that's-
unfortunately, we're 10 grand less because somebody got in meddling, and you sit next to me.
That's why I was upset about
What you're
that.
saying is it wouldn't be if it was done the way that police is done, the way other departments, roads are done, the way other departments are done. If it was all part of one system, and you wouldn't be screwed out of money, or the fire company wouldn't be screwed out of money.
The fire
Well,
company would,
Hold on, if we leave it the way it is, what is the nonprofit gonna do for the fire company, fire department? You say you wanna leave it the way it is, part of it is raise, a nonprofit raising money, has a history to do it. If you go, I got some of your tax returns in that folder, you see to raise money. Okay, if you wanna leave it what it is, what's the fire company gonna do?
Fix floors, fix doors.
So, yeah, but are you gonna appropriate money? Are you gonna do, collect funds to do that? Or are you just gonna ask the town to give it to you?
He's asking if you'll
If you're a
fundraise to help
nonprofit
projects.
and your grandfather raised money to build the building, are you guys gonna raise money? And how that money, okay, the one choice is we go to a non-lease agreement, we have a line, repairs, all the other things the other departments have, or you remain as a nonprofit that raises money for the fire company, that owns the building. What are you willing to do
With a lease,
without a
a
lease?
rental.
With a rental agreement, what are you willing to do?
There's always gonna be a rental agreement, no matter who's in president position. Has to be. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. The attorneys will agree that there has to be, there's two separate entities.
As long as there's two separate entities.
Yeah, we could make it $1 a week and that could be, or $1 a month, there's ways to get around that. But what I'm saying is we're not establishing, and if you're gonna say, okay, I wanna keep it as the nonprofit, is the nonprofit gonna raise money to do like they did, build the building, do other things,
So we do have plans to change what we're doing. And we can either sit here and bicker and fight and create another war between this building and that building, which I don't really want to do.
No,
But
That
you
wasn't
know,
fun.
you ask, like, I'm here to ask questions because I represent the citizens that pay taxes. And Sean, I have voted yes on everything, 1 year of finance and up to here for the fire department. But if I can't ask questions, then the votes are gonna start to be no. Okay? You can't have a lease agreement, you can't have different rules for department heads. Before, we didn't pay anybody up there money, okay? We didn't spend $250,000 for the managers up there, and now we are. So it doesn't mean everything that used to stay the same.
So I just said we have a plan moving forward.
Well, then why don't you distribute it? I mean, I brought it up.
Because we're not ready to distribute.
Okay, that's fine.
But
We'll
it's
discuss.
good that you have a plan, but it would be good in the not distant future for that.
Because the fire company, as is you three, can't make decisions
By yourself.
without,
But I'm
having a meeting,
suggesting that the
so.
fire company come to a place where they can share the plan, because I think it's an important piece. And it's a historically consistent bone of contention. And the best way to deal with that is to come to some type of resolution. So if you guys are working on a plan, getting to where we can share that plan would be A1. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense, but
Okay.
it's the first time I've heard about the plan. And, I think in the past, I've been on the finance committee in this for almost 3 years, or 4 years. I think if you sat and you took a look at the capital that we've given the fire department and compared it to other jurisdictions, you would find you are way in the lead with our commitment to a new fire truck, the 350 or the other vehicles. And I voted for those. We needed them, okay? But I don't think, I'm just gonna say that, when you say it's a battle between us and the select board, well, stop and pause to think about what you got. I mean, compared to others.
but I'm not, I'll be, I mean, you guys give us a lot. I will not dispute that at all.
Okay. All right.
Well, yeah. I will not disagree with that at all.
That's why we're.
But this town is,
Departments where we are.
it's not just the board, it's the whole
I've spent
town as a
decades
whole.
mediating situations, both in families and in larger systems, and some corporations. The idea is not about war, and it's not even about the absence of war. In fact, when I train this stuff, I have Civil War cannons pointing at each other with smoke coming out, okay? I had to do training in China, and not in Hong Kong, in Wuhan. So they only speak Mandarin, and I only speak English, so
Right.
you know, some of them actually did, they learn English as kids, from grade school all the way up to graduate school. But the people I was working with were older before, and many didn't speak any English. So I had pictures of Canada. Smoke. The absence of the smoke is really not peace, it's just the absence of hostility. Peace is the third picture of the lily pads. Okay, that's the peace. I don't want to live on the border of North Korea and South Korea, on the border of Ukraine and Russia. I'm not really interested in living over there. Okay? Put me on the border, in spite of what's going on between our country and Canada, put me on the border of here in Canada, I'm good with that. Right? We have a cooperative relations mostly. We have good, I'm not worried that somebody's gonna come shooting at me over the barbed wire fence. And it's not just the absence of hostility, it's actually peace. And it's quietness, and it's what's gonna work better long-term, especially given the challenges that we're all talking about for the last hour and a half or whatever it's been. That the world is not the same as it was. And God bless, if it was your grandfather that did that got this started, God bless him, right? Because this town, what was it before then? Buckets? You know?
It's up the street.
So, and down over there and Sheringham, at some point before that. So, but we're not in the same place. And we are only one example of what's happening around the country, around this Commonwealth, in small towns and large cities. It's not just small towns. And we have to be thinking differently and say, so when I do mediation, I don't do bargaining, I do solving. So it's not like you say three, I say one, will come to two. It's how do we solve it based on what's our fundamental concern. Do we share fundamental concerns here? Yes. We've all said it's safety. We've all said it's response time. It's all said it's safety not only of the public, but of the firefighters, of the police officers, et cetera, et cetera. It's all about, we share a lot of commonality on the really important stuff. Nobody's going to say, hey, look, don't go out. It's bad weather out there. It's cold. The roads are icy. And look, it happened in Otis. So like, what are we worried about? Go watch the football game. Relax. Nobody's going to say that. We share many same values. So the question then becomes, how do we solve these challenges? Does it work better? And I would raise this if I was in a professional capacity. Does it work better to have a fire department and fire company? Or does it work better to have a blended model at this point? And to figure that out and for us to solve it. War, this town, and I moved into this town when this town was at war. And it was not fun and it was not pretty. And it was, in fact, it was an embarrassment at some points, at some places.
Put us backwards, quick.
It put us backwards, and person A couldn't talk to person B because they were afraid of what person C would say, and person C was talking about A and person B. We were a mess. It's much better now, I think, in my experience. But it's how do we solve for this? How do we solve for these real problems that we don't want to wait? I don't want to wait till my brakes fail to get the brakes.
This seems like a solvable
And it's
issue,
solvable.
but we have to figure out how to
Look
solve
at the
it.
brain
So
power
I
and
think
experience
What
here
Frank
and
is
in our
saying
community.
is that it's important that we find that solution sooner rather than later, and if that involves us, first it involves you guys, but it also, at some point, it's gonna involve the town, and we need to have that conversation, we know who will be meeting it.
That's right.
So,
I was suggesting that.
so we've talked to Jeff a couple different times off and on. Mickey stopped up. I haven't forgot about that, Mickey. So we had a long, good discussion.
But
things take time.
You
Just-
know,
But we're putting together a game plan. And it will be a positive one. It's just, both sides need to work together. So, and we've talked to, not just Mickey, but other people in town that can help solve these problems.
And they're solvable, and so many other communities have solved them. We don't have to figure it out. We're not inventing some treatment of cancer or something.
in the meantime,
But
last night at a trustees meeting, and one of the things we were discussing is how much are we going to ask the Friends of the Library, which is our fire company? How much are we gonna ask them for improvements and jobs done on the building? Every year, when we built the building, when we used the building, we paid rent to the fire company. We paid over $250,000 during the building that we took over payment to the project manager because it was going to impede the job. We took over that, the Friends took over that. Every year, there has been between $10,000 and $20,000 spent on finishing and improving
Upgrades.
the problem, correcting the problems that came through the construction because you didn't have a big job done.
You want to, right?
Everything's got a 6-year guarantee and now we're 6.5 years in.
That's how it works.
You know, and the lobby had never been finished. Now the lobby is finished. That was close to $10,000 before we get that done and painting done. So I'm sitting here and thinking, why am I putting this to the Friends? Why don't I just put this on the damn budget? Why should the library Friends be paying for so much that's getting done in that building when the fire company, who has the same tool, who is that your tool, you have that tool and you're not using it?
We are. Maybe not in the capacity that you are.
You have a greater capacity, you have a greater budget than we do. You must have a greater capacity. She's thinking of that one.
I don't know, capacity might be the people that you can draw money from versus the
You
budget, which is already paid by the town, but that's all another conversation. As much as I would like to talk about this
I
till
want to get
midnight,
that out there.
we've been at it
Yeah.
like
Yeah, but
an hour
I-
and 45 minutes.
Mickey, the one thing they agreed to is that I was under the impression you would go through that 90 and then the fire company would pay whatever to do those.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Do the
what,
work.
I don't,
And we do.
last year when we agreed to the work, you would use up the 90 that had been allocated and then the fire company would pay the remaining, and at that time it
Yeah,
wasn't.
we had remaining,
Yeah.
whatever's left.
Right,
And
so it wasn't like that.
the fire company, like our training grounds out in the back, right? We have a shipping container that we live fire burn in with roof props and ladders, fence in the area, the gravel area for bringing in cars to cut and do all that stuff. That was all paid by the fire company. That was not a town expense.
You should advertise that more.
And I just,
That's where we're lacking is the PR side, of it, right? We like to do the work.
so
That's what.
after the other day's call, we reorganized one compartment in the truck. We need some different sand buckets, plastic buckets. I went on Amazon and just bought the damn buckets. Not that that's much, but I'm not gonna submit a reimbursement to the town for like
Like the-
$92 that it took.
Twice now, our nice doors have been hacked into, right, with the ladder truck. Or one, we were going out and it came down and hit, right? The fire company paid for the replacement of the doors. So it's not like we're just
No, I mean,
hoarding money.
I think
And
that's
like,
great.
in the next project or one of the next biggest projects, it's a big ticket item, is the floor, it's falling apart.
It's a
That's
huge
not,
thing.
that's
huge
not
amount
a
of stuff.
$50,000 ticket where
How
we
much?
just write a check off, so we either have to save
Probably
it.
300 grand.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That time heat, aprons,
Yeah,
like, it just, it's big.
You guys should, it's important that people know, because knowing that you are paying for
You got a
stuff makes a
jackhammer,
difference to people. It doesn't matter if
Cut
it's
it.
only
That's 50 grand
$92.
in
I mean,
itself.
that stuff can add up. And
How
if
long
people
does that
don't
take?
know,
Gonna
it is
take
a
for that
peer
would be like
issue. If
2
people
weeks
don't
worth of
know, they think you're not
By the time you
stepping
got
up at
time,
all.
you
Your
start
questionable
getting
chairs.
Probably a couple months, but it's all done.
Yeah.
Right.
Logistics is probably the difficult part.
Anyway, this is like, we could probably sit here for another couple
We
hours,
could
but
beat this
I
horse
think
to
the
death.
discussion's been good.
I'm not complaining. I think we covered a lot of ground.
I think we could.
So it's a good process.
But yeah, we covered a lot of ground. It's 7:15. Fortunately, Justin's very thoughtful and hasn't been kicking me, because I thought it was important that we be able to air a lot of this stuff and make sure we can all hear each other, so.
Did I hear a motion for the finance committee to adjourn?
You're not yet.
Wait,
You
yeah.
wait like 5 minutes.
We can talk about education.
Well, yeah.
That's
Just so they can not leave.
You could talk, but you guys are all gonna stay, but I think that,
You
I
don't
think
wanna
we're
hear
good
the
at
next
this
meeting.
point. I don't think there's any more substantive questions for you.
If it's only gonna be 5 minutes, I'm
Yeah, right.
curious about what's going on with that mess.
Okay.
So school. Can people go to the meetings either tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, 5:30?
I can do Thursday, I know.
I'll do tomorrow.
You'll do the ball, and then I'll do 5:30.
I may do it
And
remotely,
on
but
Thursday, there's a school committee meeting afterwards at 6:30. You might want to stay.
Well, I can, Thursday is better.
Finance committee?
There's a Zoom, I think they're both on.
Roger, Jeff.
Jeff,
Can someone go?
can what,
It's okay
we're
if you
looking for a finance committee to go to each of the school meetings. Okay.
I'll do 5:30 Thursday, and then if I go, I just stick there. and-
I can do Wednesday
All you ran.
at 5:30.
I won't ever do school.
You could give me-
Okay, so
Whenever you want to report back.
funding project. We'll see you next week, Tuesday. Tuesday, 5:30. Okay, one, did you put the school numbers in here, Roger?
Yes, I did.
What'd you put in, the lower option?
I put in the higher option.
Did you put in the lower option?
So a question came up that I felt like I should know it, but they have to put one or the other on,
Oh, they're gonna,
right?
so,
They'll choose and we don't get to choose.
so this is the superintendent, yeah, we can vote now, but this is the superintendent's proposed budget. But the school committee and the school finance subcommittee have not
Approved it.
approved. So this is a process, which is why usually you can go and you can learn about the budget and that's great to go, but this year we have to go and say it's gotta be the lower option. If you go tomorrow night, Thursday night, okay?
I feel like I have to say, what's the,
But we can't vote.
Yeah, but we can have input.
We have input. We need to raise concerns that we've been, have these two options in front of us. We want the lower end
I mean,
option.
I have some questions
I know,
that go beyond just
So-
what that is, like,
No.
what does that
Yeah,
lower
because-
option actually mean? How many
Yeah, that's
people
what
are
I'm
being
not getting.
tanked to get to that number?
Something like.
They show you the
So-
money, but they never,
They don't say what it.
Wait, so let's not dissect the school budget until we've had the meetings.
Right.
we don't have enough time.
But let's go to the overall operating budget, bottom. So with the lower school budget, we're looking at an increase year over year of 761,000, 12.5%. A little homework assignment, could everyone please look at the budget between tonight and next Tuesday at 5:30 and come with at least one or two things that you feel that we could cut or adjust? Because we can't propose 12.5% to the taxpayers. I have a couple ideas in my mind, I'm not gonna go into them at 7:30 after 2 hours of budget meeting, but, can everyone do that? Take a look through, if you find more, bring more, or if you have questions, and then next week we'll go through those, line by line, like, it's been, I don't know if we have any meetings on it.
I think there's still two.
What's that?
What meeting? Oh, no, meetings of people, staff, no.
So we don't, the last month, we've been doing meetings with departments, we're not gonna do that next week, so we can really take a time to find areas where there's flexibility, okay?
Brian, you're gonna send out the most recent form, the most recent one?
Oh, yeah, did you send the most
It's on-
recent budget?
So it
It's
updates
online.
the
Oh, yeah,
line.
right, right,
So
right.
if we go back to it, it'll download.
What I will ask
It
is,
won't download
Can you,
March 1st, let's say.
can you copy it into an Excel and or a PDF for people that
That wanna
will
look at
deal
it.
with that better that way, and maybe print it out?
Sure.
Print out 3 copies for everybody, because we're at the point now, we've heard all the requests, we need to
Be able to write on the.
be able to work. So maybe,
The one thing with it is that a lot of the behind the scenes pieces. So like, for example, if you wanted to look at the assistant principal assessor, some of that information, or maybe not them, but some of that information is in the spreadsheets behind it.
yeah, we won't get that, but
But
Yeah, I can-
that's okay, we can raise a question and we can deep
Yep.
dive into
We
that
can do that.
specific thing.
so,
No.
yeah, maybe you can print out a copy for 6 people.
Sure.
And people can come pick it up in hard copy at town hall or look at it on your computer.
Yeah,
I'll
just download it.
Come back next week and start making some decisions. Okay? All right, I think finance committee's all set then.
Motion to
I did,
adjourn.
I did send you guys my list
Sure.
of questions that I wanna
Yeah, that's
send
it.
to, yeah,
Yeah, so
I
I thought
came
they
up
were
with a list.
excellent.
I don't have any.
I would like a summary of the whole contract. Is it a 2, 3, 4, 5 year?
Well, contract.
The teacher's contract that they negotiated last year.
I'd also like a summary of the difference between option number 1 and 2. in
No
terms of
kidding.
Services.
Yes,
You know, are we losing?
at least some type of
are we losing
narrative,
all the teachers
exactly.
in 8th grade?
Can
you cut a lot
of money out of go to either of the meetings? Okay, I think they might be recorded, but the questions are big, the questions are not
Yeah.
dealt with.
Just didn't deal with it.
Yeah,
I should.
So I think going to the meeting's gonna, or getting follow up.
Option 2 doesn't sound like, are we losing a little bit, are we losing a lot? You know?
Someone told me 15 staff, but I don't, there's also part of what's going on.
Questions, did you see how the superintendent, that line increased like 32%?
So there's budget assumptions.
250K.
I know.
A lot of
What's that
what's
mean?
going on right now is there's
no
budget
details,
assumptions
So you're like,
that they're not taking.
well, the last superintendent contract.
All right, we're done.
Unbelievable.
So-
All right.
My feeling was that.
Thank you all.
All right,
My
see you, thank
plan
you.
was, night, knowing that we let them know some of the questions we feel are really important to have answered there beforehand. They may know some of them, they may already have that on their plan, but it's a lot.
I appreciate you taking your conflict very seriously.
I know my yard.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Um,
I'm sure you have a lot to say. If you.
I feel like we have a
You watch
better
out.
chance of getting the answers to the questions we pre-identified, if we give them a little warning so they can come prepared. Some of them should be on.
Would you email?
Um,
I'm
I was, yeah, I was gonna,
I
I
would
haven't emailed
email.
yet, I haven't emailed. I'm
email
asking, I
Michelle,
wanted to make a joint set of questions, I'll do
Yeah.
it just mine, but we might have
Doctor,
some to
the
add.
superintendent,
Right,
and Julie Hannum is the new chair of the select, of the school committee.
do you have a,
I'm sure we can dig one up. They have SPRC addresses too, which they should be using, so I'll find it. Because part of the problem is, Art and Kim knew a lot, and they worked with Beth closely.
Yeah, the old superintendent.
And the school committee that's left is very new.
right,
J Hannum, HANNUM at SPRSD.org.
to HANNUM?
Yep.
At
SPRSD.org.
SPRSD.
And here's the vice chair.
We wanna cut and paste it into
You want me to just send you
email,
the
yeah,
link?
just send it.
Send me the link too, but I don't want to go through it before I go to the meeting and have some sense of who I'm talking
What the
to.
hell's going on?
So,
Show me the money.
I mean, I just think if we ask the questions in advance, there's a chance that if they look at it, they'll come prepared with an answer, because some of the questions are substantive enough that if they didn't already walk in with the answer, they're not gonna be able to answer it there. And maybe they will, maybe they'll come prepared to say why what's actually included in the superintendent's line and why it's going up 250K. Maybe there's like, I don't know, that could be a new business venture or something.
But I tell you,
Moved to the general fund and
Is
got,
that what excess and deficiency was,
um,
which is now at zero?
I don't know, maybe. So there's all these questions about moving things within the budget that makes it very confusing to look at, because it's not like, in many instances, there's a substantive operational change that they're proposing. It's just they're calculating it differently, or the reimbursements, they're making different assumptions.
Here, but if you're changing from option 1 to option 2, it's over $1.3 million, there have to be
No,
operational changes.
Yeah, but they also don't know.
if they did, why would they go
They
that
were
way?
otherwise-
They're lost.
Right,
And we're running out of time.
right,
That's my concern.
So, and they had hired the previous superintendent to help with this transition, because as I understand it, one of her strong suits was, business administration and finances. And that also have had its own baggage, that choice to bring in the old superintendent to.
Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, before she even left, and I'm not saying they were right, there was a group of people at the meetings I went to in Sheffield, felt that nobody knew how she did the budget, it was all secret, and there was no explanation. I don't know what to do.
I mean, look, I get that if you're walking into someone else's series of,
I know, but
almost as, like, if you walk into someone else's spreadsheets, like, I can just imagine someone looking at the various ridiculous number of possibilities I ran for the fire department, walking in and looking at that, because I wasn't there, going, what was she doing? Like, if it's a big, complicated budget with lots of moving parts and things in other files and whatever, I get that it would be super hard to walk into that and come up to speed quickly and figure out, what was this person doing? Because you're depending on their notes or whatever.
But what Art and Kim did, which was smart, was brought her back in to help with that transition.
But apparently,
Potentially the help wasn't welcome.
Well,
So-
there's definitely, out of my meeting, there was a group of Amy former. You know, when the old superintendent left, she gave him Sheffield a going away present with an open meeting law violation.
Well, I looked at their agenda where Kim and Art resigned, and I think someone could, it's teed up for an open meeting law complaint. They amended the agenda that same afternoon, hours before the meeting, because of Tara White's complaint, which had come in, I don't know, several days, if not a week before. And then they said the afternoon of, hours before the meeting, oh, we need to have an executive session to discuss Art and Kim's behavior based on Tara White's complaint that we received several days ago. You can't do that.
no, you can't do that.
We ran into that problem with the DRT.
I didn't know that. It's an RC problem.
Yeah, I saw, it says agenda amended at like 1:30 PM on the day of the meeting.
But these
You don't
people,
You don't amend the agenda on the day of a meeting for something that you received several days before,
You may, yeah.
and it's an executive session.
basically, executive.
So they
Don't
have
get the lawyers.
issues So I didn't see the budget here, because I was only looking at school committee meeting agendas.
Right, that's fine,
Not budget.
yeah, I hear you. I,
It's a budget hearing.
no hard feelings,
Yeah.
but there's 3 different meetings, like, come on. And when you click on it on the actual school thing, it just says there's a meeting and a time, it doesn't tell you anything, it doesn't tell you, it doesn't link you to an agenda, it doesn't, so, which, fair, they're trying to run a school, but I'm just saying, it wasn't like it was straightforward to get that.
This is their budget hearing, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Budget hearing?
Susan found the agenda for the budget hearing, I found the budget for the school committee meeting.
Oh, it's in the, I think I forwarded Michelle's email, and she
By the-
put all 3 of those in there. It's, I can't, it's making me crazy. And I went through all our yellow line stuff, and
I haven't
there's
looked.
not a ton there, right? I mean, the biggest piece you could probably take would be from like Garfield.
Yes, you can level from Lake Garfield, you can take a little bit here and there from the Parks Commission, you can nickel and dime them.
But it's nickels and dimes.
No, it's nickel and dimes.
Meeting.
We have to do nickel and dime, I think we got a nickel and dime technology,
What?
yeah,
I took $5,000 out of it.
I think we got a nickel and dime. And we actually just saw.
Just add another 0.
And then we gotta get out of here, because it's been 2 hours, but,
What did you wanna do?
well, we can give you some ideas, Roger, to work on.
Yep.
You wanna start at the top?
Yep.
And we'll just look at our yellow lines, so the first one is assistant to principal assessor, we already went down to the fewer hours.
So that went down to 10 hours. Yep.
What's the next yellow? Technology,
Technology.
maybe you can,
I could bring it down to 17, I think,
do a hard, what is it?
because I got
Yeah. How much of it is
Well, we have,
regular maintenance or one-time upgrades? Or
um,
software, we just gotta pay our Word license?
it's a mixture of that, but, the hardware piece is going away for right now.
Yeah.
Because I will have, this year we will have updated all the hardware in the building, that's what the plan is. So, and right now, we're still in transition from the old way that we were doing, email addresses to the new one. So I sent all that information to John Shannon, so hopefully in the next, 2 to 4 weeks, that'll all get changed. And so we'll lose some of those dollars from that old one, which wasn't a ton, but it's just a bit of a change. I think it could go down to 17.
Well, I would just start with that, because
Yeah.
that's a no-brainer.
Why is text title in red?
So tax title in red was because I've been talking to Mari about a possibility of creating a revolving fund for tax title. It's a little more complicated because and the thought I had was that we would create this revolving fund and then seed it with this money. In talking to town council and Mari, it doesn't work that way.
Okay.
So we still could create that revolving fund, so any fees that we got from any tax titles would go into that fund.
But we still have to have the money.
But we
for
still
this
have to
year.
have some money for this year, and any potential, the other thing you can do with it is any potential, like, there's not enough money in there. And so she might need it for some, I was talking to her, how we might, like, spread this money between it, but there's really no cost savings.
Right.
We still will need some money, because this might be, some of this money might be for the treasurer to use it to pay for lawyers to go do some things with it as well. So
Why is town clerk yellow?
town clerk is yellow because it, town clerk was yellow only because I had it with the additional, it was just a note for me
Yeah.
because of the additional 100 hours.
So
So
it went up
that's
a little bit more than COLA because
it has 100 additional hours. I don't know, that previous,
that's not 100 hours worth, that's like 1 or more hours.
what's that? It's 100, I took her normal pay,
It is, it's 100 hours at 27.53.
Yeah.
But it's a 5.48 increase, what did we do last year in terms of additional hours?
That's what I think that it was, I'm not certain if that was all in there as I go back. and look
Okay,
at the
that's
budget for
fine,
FY20.
but it's not off by a lot, because COLA would have been,
Yeah, 2.8, yeah.
600.
Was
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
when, there would have been more hours
So it was
Do we do
27
100 hours every year?
What's 700 divided by 25?
Seven, hold on, give me a second.
100 divided by 25, we get 4 times 28.
Let me get my calculator.
Yeah, so it's like 28 hours.
Because I was just thinking, like, this year has more elections.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stress over it, but
So that's why it was just yellow, it was just yellow.
agent,
Okay.
is Concom asking for 14,000?
They're not, it's just that I maxed it out with, because I don't know what they're gonna do
Posting.
with the posting. So the posting was 25 to 35,
Okay.
and so I just did that.
I mean, honestly,
They have
kids
3
making more
people.
than the 24, they have 3 now.
They have 3, somebody just came in today, I gotta get in
Does
touch with them.
anybody actually have any Concom agent experience?
I haven't looked at the third one, I just got saw
Okay.
an email, but the first 2 do not.
Right.
If we can keep working through it, Roger, I think it'd be good, because I have a couple where you might need to talk to the department heads.
Okay.
If you keep going down, so that's fire, we just talked about.
Right.
Yeah.
Get going, moving on. At school, we talked about
This is highway.
highway, so we budgeted for someone who's
Yep.
making a higher rate.
And there's
We probably should leave it.
I think we should leave it
Because we don't know what we're gonna get in our applicant. pool.
Yeah, so we have 3 people that we are aware of, they put their applications in. They're all experienced
CDL.
CDL,
Oh, then we should definitely leave it,
Yeah.
because that's the minimum.
so yeah, but we also have the possibility of people who don't have that.
Right,
So,
so 268,
968,
how
where are you
would,
at?
and I support departments wanting, especially them, but how is Alan based on his first couple of months saying we need that?
Yeah, and I was wondering what the 20K was for. if we had a
It's for
specific
DPW vehicle equipment maintenance increase, that's where it was.
But can we level fund that line?
We probably could, let me just go look at it really quick.
I wasn't sure if there were specific needs he had raised it to account for.
I mean, we
I
level
think-
funded
I
it to
think-
begin with.
Who asked it?
Oh, well, I think based upon his experience in the first 2 months of
With that vehicle.
of
telling
of
you,
vehicles and problems that we're having right now.
Especially with the new one. I could,
Which is
you get towed down 23.
Yeah,
We're not plowing the
that
street.
right now. So, hold on, where was that? That was,
The lemon law should
Right
go longer.
yeah, so we've been, this one right here, right? Yeah, that's where it went up. So he was at 40, he's looking for 60. You know, I think a lot of that, we haven't really burned that much in the past. We've been right around that 35 to 40 in there. Last year it was right around 35, it's last year, for FY '25.
And what is it looking like we're gonna actually spend this year, based on the fact that we're 2 way through it? What did we actually spend?
Hold on, let's go find it and see.
Well, it's hard too, because we had no superintendent,
Yep.
mixed superintendent,
Yep.
mixed.
We had some
Yeah.
We had some problems with,
It's not apples to apples, but it gives us a ballpark.
How are they doing now? Are they settled down?
yeah, things have settled down, yeah.
There's been a lot of good weather.
Yeah, no, they weren't
Yeah,
complaining.
so right now,
I think it's supposed to be 48 hours, it's supposed to go back. to 40.
right now,
40, we spent 40.
we're okay. Yeah, because we had some equipment that we had to do.
So
It was
I'm
broken,
gonna
and
say
we still
maybe
have
drop
some.
it 10 and not 20. Like, who knows? There's no way to predict what's gonna happen.
I think we got a lot of fun. I mean, we're looking at 12.5%.
Yeah, okay, fair
We
enough.
gotta cut some
He
corners.
has a good point.
A level fund, I get a level fund.
I agree.
It's,
Yeah, no, I see it. By the way, so I have a meeting on the 26th, I think,
You said level funded, right?
2 weeks from Thursday, that's the 26th. We're actually gonna meet with Rogers.
Roger, Charlie.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out a way to bring down the insane cost of shipping recyclables. And it's not just us, right? So this is hitting all of the
Good.
southern Berkshire towns. And we've, like, Linda starting from the northern Berkshire, like, they work as a group, is helping Janamine, who runs the whole Holyoke area. She's got 17 towns she is helping, and Ruby, who's the rep for Barrington, talked to Roger, and basically the idea is there's a couple of different possibilities for how to try to get that very high cost down. all of them would involve some towns working together, and I'm the one going, oh God, not again. But it's too much, like, it's crazy, and we have to figure out how to bring the cost down, because it's only gonna get worse.
Can we bring the cans to the redemption center?
I think all the cans that are coming in are mostly cans that aren't returnables.
I think,
I don't know, I put all my returnables in there.
Yeah, I did,
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah, we return our returnables.
who was it, is it Otis?
I get my nickels worth.
Otis
Otis
would be
picks them
moderate, Otis picks them out, saves
Otis
them,
picks them out.
yeah, and gives them to veterans or something.
Well, can we? Because I think a lot of people are putting returnables in there.
Well, for starters, we can do it.
They're all-
What's killing us is ironically, we get some money for those, but what kills
Never
us,
mind.
what kills us is the glass. Another thing you can do is pull the glass out, but it's really hard to figure out what to do with the glass.
Yeah, that's a question.
You get a little bit of a bump down if you separate the glass, it's like $5 a ton, but almost all the tonnage is actually from the glass. The whole thing's a nightmare. The only place we're ahead of the game is that, coming down the pike from DEP is that they're gonna require that all municipalities, so they already bumped from large, food handling operations to small food handling operations, and next up is residential. No more food waste in the garbage. No more. And towns are gonna start getting fined if they have it in there, right? It has to be composted. And we're running out of space, there's no place to put it. So at least we're already doing that, we're starting to help people to train to do that, I think. I don't know what to say, but I'll let you know more after we have this meeting to try to see if the things that have worked in other communities might work for us. It's hard to imagine there'll be a site where the things that are, like, basically one of the things is you have a site that our residents still go to our transfer station, but that gets taken to a site and it gets put into basically a semi-trailer, so that it's a lot fewer runs with a lot more mass, but there's a whole bunch of requirements for that, and you have to have a place to do it. It's hard for me to see how this will happen, but we're trying. It ain't gonna be for this year.
Two more.
Transfer station, that is, again, it's just more informational. The base is actually 41,279.23 to cover everybody based on the hours that they're working. And I put $2,000 extra in there just to have monies to cover when they go on vacation, like, or somebody takes a day off or they're sick. Very similar to what the.
Why would that cost us more money?
Well, it's kind of like the library.
Oh, because they're getting paid time off.
They're getting paid to be off, and somebody gets paid to be there. So it's the same concept, which I didn't really even think about.
But we can also, from time to time, have one person.
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, there was one person.
Right.
I don't support it in general, but.
No, it does happen. They do have one person that shows.
Yeah, if someone called and said.
And they-
And you're never gonna get someone at the last minute, and
Who's gonna fill in?
So,
And so
this
this,
go to Lake Garfield?
what was cemetery expenses, yeah, no.
okay, so, hold on, can you bring them up?
We skipped a bunch.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize I was skipping a bunch. I thought that was the end of the thing. So
No.
I guess we
You
go
want-
back up through, I didn't realize I was skipping.
Cemetery is next up
No,
after.
well, there's, and the transfer station operations was, again, that was increasing the haulage because of all the issues that we've been having, and it's all over the
And the
place.
cost of hauling. So
that's why that,
And the price of recyclables is down, so we're not getting much back that way.
Can we trade in our dump truck for a roll-off truck? We have CDL drivers.
theoretically, yeah. In the summertime, it might work, but in the winter.
Yeah, no, not in the winter, in the summer,
In the winter,
in the summer.
theoretically.
How much do they use dump truck?
I don't, the big dump truck?
Yeah.
I know that they've been using it regularly because they go get the stone.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, they've just got another delivery of stone. So
What do you think, we call our own? Is
Park
that
it.
what you're saying?
Park it, throw the stuff.
Throw the stuff directly into the dump truck.
Recyclables.
The glass, I think it's a.
Recyclable.
What's the delivery fee on a load of stone versus what we're paying every week to haul recyclables?
I'd have to go look at the invoice. But yeah, there's a fee.
$650, Paul.
So the
Cemetery
cemetery
was grounds,
expenses,
because this week I have to start working on,
mowing bids.
mowing bids. I gotta start working on that. Council on Aging, said to me that, they appreciate, if they got the $8,000 in the stabilization fund that they requested for.
Wait, in this, in the what?
No, I'm sorry, in the free cash.
Yeah.
Sorry.
For transportation.
I looked at stabilization.
Right.
For transportation, that they could virtually just level fund what they have.
Okay,
So-
let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah,
You want
That's
to
awesome.
just go?
thank you, Ken, for naming.
Good.
The sock hop was really fun.
It was
That's
fun.
what I heard, a lot of people.
It was
They
very,
had like 50 people there.
I know.
Yeah, now I can imagine 50 people in that room.
I think they weren't maybe all there at the same time, but it was pretty busy. It
Yeah.
was quite full when I was there.
Should we do 4422 or 4,500?
For 22. Because some of that money it's good stuff.
Yeah.
But social programming, and we're looking at 12.5% budget increase.
I get you.
That leaves us with beach monitor.
Beach monitor, so talked to Tom Mency, I said it's kind of unlikely that we're gonna find the full 49 hours. And potentially, and we can wait on him to get an answer, but we're looking at, obviously you could level fund, or we could give them 2 hours a day for the other 4 days, so that someone could go up and put the chain and check on the different things they want to check on at noon, and then take away the chain at 6 p.m. A lot of this revolves around closing the boat launch
Yeah.
from noon to 5.
Right.
So that's something they have to propose a figure for, but that's probably gonna be cut back.
The other thing is, speaking about parks, go down to the Lombardi. I want to take,
That's in free cash.
I know, but it's still.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
production.
I was just talking.
Yeah, he got a well proposal today, but I didn't look at it. It came late this afternoon. He said $20,000 for shutting off the wells. He got 2 proposals. I'll call,
Why do we need to shut down the wells?
apparently by the health department, you have to do X, Y, Z if you're abandoning the wells.
Why?
It's probably stupid government regulation.
I
It's not like someone's gonna fall down, right? It's just regular old
What you
pipe.
should do is
It's a
just pull
pipe
it.
coming up, it's not a hole in the
What
ground.
you should do is just pull the copper up, it could be 100 feet down, pull the wiring, the pump out, and just shut it.
You can start scrapping them out.
Seriously.
So,
What we do is.
So-
Recycle.
I missed on Lombardo because I have 2 things going on. One is, I don't believe in spending $20,000 to decommission wells. But on the other hand, we're gonna use the money at some point. Because we haven't even hired a site planner. So if we set up a fund to do the environmental study and do consultations on the property, it's all, as long as we encapsulate that in a special warrant, people know what they're voting on,
Right,
we're gonna use the money at some point.
right.
What if we don't tap the well, so there's a water supply there for if we make a
I
park
don't
out?
know,
Well, and the other thing is, did you in your conversations with Donna mention the water easements?
we did not talk about I sent her, there's a guy, Steve, on the committee, and he researched the easement back to 1901.
The road easement or the water easement?
There's nothing I sent her everything, it's an
The
easement.
road easement.
It's the road easement.
And you asked about the water.
And, the question is, she goes, really, you gotta work with the residents on what's the best path, but it doesn't say who pays for it.
Well, she recommended that the abutter pay for it, but also the easement doesn't lay out a geographical area where it is.
Yeah, but the way,
It just says she can drive to the property.
yeah, but the easement is vaguely, the guy that's on the committee he's a lawyer in New York, Brooklyn, he's semi-retired, and he said, I'm dying to see what he said, because there's no specifics, and she basically came back and said the same thing. And Betsy is coming to the next meeting on April 16th to say, okay, this is what I would like. but we're gonna talk to her, but we're not, there's no commitment, you know.
But you gotta hear her first.
But theoretically, it could be anywhere.
It could be anywhere, but you know, she's already implied, I want a fence and I want shrubbery, and you know, that all that.
But town council said that's great and she should pay for it.
Well, I know, I mean, that's
Yeah.
what basically he's gonna say, you know, we're not gonna, you know, we'll see where it all goes, but
I don't blame her for wanting it, but I don't think we necessarily have to pay for it.
you know.
Which got
So-
by.
Well, she's complaining, I talked to her, you know, she's complaining, people are jumping the fence, coming on property, but I don't know what to tell her about that, you know.
Well, we have to get it.
I know,
We talked about putting some more private property signs up there.
I had actually a conversation, somebody called me up about it, and I had a conversation with Brian, and we're gonna have to talk to somebody, because, I mean, it's public property. I don't know what we can do.
No, yeah, but this
Can we
building's
say-
public property, but people can't
No,
trespass.
no,
at
I
night,
know, but
right?
people can walk through the yard. People can walk.
They can't walk through the DPW garage.
No, but they can walk through the grounds.
No, they can't. It's gated.
Not really.
It's not really,
I
but
can, I
it's
can
gated.
walk up and
And
around it.
it's it's a safety hazard.
I
And same
understand
thing here,
that.
so
So
clarify with town
I
council.
will. So my concern is that having once been a 15-year-old boy, that when it says,
Yeah,
don't
but-
go in, you
You're
go
gonna go
in.
in, right?
So the more
And
you put
you
up
tied, and
signs.
you tied your horse up on the fence. right?
Yeah, exactly. The more we tell people not to go in, is the more reason for them to go in.
Well, if there's neighbors that see it happening, they should know to call the police immediately, so that people know that it's not a place to
Right.
mess around.
I mean, you know, everybody get,
I think
the
as long
necking
as she
spots
puts
get cops
signs
anyway,
up,
but
it can come on the property.
a couple of kids get
Yeah.
You know,
We can,
moved along, word will spread.
town-owned properties, we can
you can tell people,
Well,
you know,
that they can't be on it for X, Y, or Z.
If we have a reason for it.
So,
Okay.
Lake Garfield, I think we should just cut to the chase and say that we have less money for that and level fund it and tell them the unfortunate news.
It's line 119, Excel line 119.
So we're gonna level fund it from the 62,500 that it was last year?
So we skipped. So park monitor, we're saying we're gonna reduce.
Tom, I'm gonna have to have him get a number,
Okay.
because
And,
I don't wanna go ahead and do it unless we wanna say we wanna level fund it.
and what about parks expenses?
We gotta figure out with Roger what's going on.
I mean, I looked through those,
Yeah,
I didn't see any.
we can look at them.
We could, much to my chagrin, actually.
So,
And I gotta point out that
Was it
right
parks?
now lifeguard is
Level funded.
level funded and
you know, it's gonna
that seems unlikely.
Well, actually, I do know one way to cut it down, just cut back the hours.
Of the lifeguard.
Which it sounds like a public safety hazard, and also they're only there 49 hours a week or something, and how many hours are there in a week? 168?
24 times, whatever that is.
168 or something?
24.
So to pretend like it's a crime to not have a lifeguard there
Yeah.
while we're committing that crime, and I think we upped it, didn't always, used to be as many hours as.
Yeah, it was
is.
shorter. I think it only went till 5 for a little while.
I think-
Don't they go to 6 now? They go to 6.
We might wanna have a conversation with them about that.
Cut back on the hours.
When did they start? It's 7 hours, right? 7 hours, and 2 lifeguards a day, 3 on the 4th of July, it doesn't say how many hours a day.
I think it's either noon to 5 or 11 to 5 or.
I think it's noon. It's either noon to 5 or noon to 6. I think it's 2. Because I think they wanted to coordinate it with,
It started at 10 in the morning.
It might,
No, I think it's later in the day, it's like
It's noon.
noon, yeah.
but I think they wanted to coordinate with the 6 PM. I think it's coordinated with the 6 PM for that.
I think
but
they get
they
more,
said
they get,
that,
they get more people in the afternoon, like after work or something, because they went to noon.
oh, and the favorite time that we always went to the beach was 7 or 8 PM.
Yeah, me too.
And Tracy Brennan and Julie Shapiro and whoever, but there's no lifeguard for them,
Well, you
but that's
survived.
life.
Well, they're
That's
not little kids, so surely they won't drive.
Yeah, they should be home in bed.
So
Or the old bogies.
that said, I mean,
So,
maybe it's just something we're
Maybe
gonna,
cut hours.
we don't even have our proposal yet.
That's true.
so these are the
But they're gonna
things-
give us a proposal for the hours that they were asked to give a proposal for. So if we alter the hours we're asking, the proposal's gonna alter, isn't it?
Yeah, we can look into that.
Okay.
Well,
So these are the things that they, that the parks always put together. They always have a Schedule A and a Schedule B for different things. Primarily, Schedule A is for grounds maintenance, and Schedule B is for other projects that they have planned, usually through other expenses. They always get the 20 tons of beach setup, breakdown,
Yeah,
the pond hockey support. Those first things are kind of things that they
traditionally done.
traditionally thing. The picnic table, the handicap picnic table is the one that's been cut out, I think twice that I've been doing budgets. Cut that one out. That's the one that they always talks about up on top of the like replacing that one with one of these. The stockade fences, the rest
How
of
much
this,
use does that get?
so are these things that are in the budget?
yes.
Okay, so,
So Schedule B is other expenses. Let me see that.
How I want them to justify that picnic table if it's for
So,
the one that's
schedule-
over by the dam?
Schedule B is other expenses. Schedule A is park lawn maintenance.
Right. Or just parks. I'll call it general maintenance, because there's trail maintenance on here too, ball
Yeah.
field edging, et cetera.
So it's usually just.
Grounds maintenance, how about that?
That's it.
it does not cost $765 to pressure wash the playground, we don't need to do it twice.
What does it, why would it cost
The
that?
highway garage has a pressure washer. I mean, if you did it as nice as you did a house, maybe, but it's playground equipment, let's keep it nice, but the highway garage has pressure washer, can you ask Alan if they can pressure wash the playground?
I could get more money.
Always have to forget something.
Once you get to be my age.
The good days when it's not something that's crucial.
Have to put air tags on.
At least I know I'm never leaving the house without my glasses, can't drive without.
Have a good one.
Right. Yeah, and you go, what's wrong with
It's
my-"
almost made me into meeting,
So maybe-
to
Maybe
meeting.
even,
Maybe put this stuff in yellow, but we're talking about doing the pond trail maintenance,
I was just looking at the
Volunteer.
same one.
and we need to keep up with the ball field, but $5,000, 200, we don't need to keep up with it that much.
Why does it cost 2,600 to edge and weed that one thing?
I mean, the
How
problem
many
is,
hours of work
I
is
gotta-
that?
I think they're out.
I gotta be honest, the last 10 years, it has been in terrible shape, Mickey will tell you.
And now.
And
they're
we
making-
should
right.
keep some money to make it not terrible, and it can't be entirely volunteer, it's just backbreaking labor.
It's really hard.
But I don't think we need $5,000.
If you do it every year, it shouldn't cost you that much to
Yeah.
tighten it up.
I think they say they do it at the beginning of the year, they do it in like the end of the year or something like
I don't know,
that.
they said twice.
Something, but the power washing, can we ask if Alan, if he can do it?
Right, he's got that in red already.
And the edging and weeding, can we bring that number down?
Yeah, but you're waiting for bids on that, right?
Not on that, I gotta wait on the mowing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, edging and weeding, I think we threw in as kind of extra, we asked Gary to do it. We're gonna hire Duquette, and then a lot happened, and then we couldn't find anyone. And the pond trail maintenance,
Do we need to do it 3 times per season?
not for, no, we need to do it volunteer, what we need to do. The problem with that is, we let that trail go, and it was defunct for decades, I think, really. And we shouldn't let it get defunct again, because it costs a lot more money to get it back up and running.
Okay,
But also, we can have volunteers go through and pick sticks and throw them off the
so
side.
I'm gonna do a compromise deal on that one. What if we give them enough for one, purchase one, and say the other one's gotta be volunteer? Because that, I mean,
I
whatever
think
damage got done through the
volunteer is
winter.
enough to
Right.
let it go to fun.
Exactly, and then the volunteers, whatever they're doing is so much the better, and if nothing else, it fosters involvement and awareness of the trail.
And if they're walking the trail, don't you pick up the sticks and throw them out?
Well, I do, well, the more people that walk it, the better maintained it
Yeah.
stays. But we have a history where it went entirely defunct.
Nobody even knew it was there, so.
Yeah.
At that point, so, but big things, what if it's something that needs a chainsaw, right? You're not gonna ask someone who's walking the trail to do that.
Yeah,
Well,
but
you
if
do
you
it
had
in
a-
an organized
if you had
day, but
some-
not if you're just walking.
Where somewhere where you wanted to clean up.
There's the highway department, we could do the highway department, that's what I was gonna say. If there was a tree that fell down.
They check for beaver activity.
And check for what? Actually?
Beaver activity. Walk the trail with a
Yeah,
chainsaw. Walk the trail with a chainsaw, that can be a.
I got a chainsaw.
Maybe we just have
So we're
the
gonna drop
the
that
volunteers flag the places so they know if there's
to
any.
1,270.
Well, here's my thought on this, we wanna change so much with parks, maybe Tom will come to our meeting next week.
I'll ask him.
But maybe don't ask him, let's ask Tom, we're gonna cut your budget a lot, do you wanna come to our meeting? Yeah.
Then he's gonna call me.
No, you can say, God, Roger, you have to just say the selectmen are gonna be.
The select board are slashing your
Tell
budget.
Frank, tell him not to do it.
I wouldn't wanna push those buttons, but they made me.
Yeah, let's,
Yeah.
it's 8, we don't need to micromanage the park budget anymore, but let's invite him.
Is that, no, then what? That was parks, then we had
Parks.
community center.
Community center, that's,
Library,
Contribution
10%.
program. Custodial.
Right.
Those
And,
are all the things that are,
and then we got Lake Garfield.
which I level funded.
Okay. Wait, I gotta.
If you wanna look at the community center, really quick.
What was it before? It's 11.67 now. What was it before?
12.5.
That was.
See, why, he's looking at that number.
Uh,
I'm
Yeah.
I'm assigning you the task. Is there any option for the fire department to use stipend shifts versus FTEs as we make a transition? You know, you do a hire one or two and then you try to do stipends.
I mean, if you're, are you, when you say stipend, do you mean per diem?
Per diem, I guess, I'm not.
Well, because the stipends, it's a squitchy term, right? A per diem, we're clear on what that is. I would say in theory, yes, but the problem is getting the per diem. That even with the roster they've got, filling the shifts is not always easy. It's not quite as bad as the situation
Yeah, but-
with the, like, trying to fill a police position during the day when the people that aren't working could have a, you know,
The,
black.
you know, I mean, this is where I wish I had the data, and you knew where you're, you know, you're, like, a Tuesday night, there's only been one call on a Tuesday night, because you get away with one person in it. You know, by using data, what's the most, what shifts require the most people? I mean, I think a lot of it's day shifts from what I can remember, because you look at
It's
some,
about 2/3, 1/3,
yeah, it's about
day and night.
2/3 days, and because it centers around a lot of families. You know, if you take a look, I know I did the average time of the day for Southern Berkshire ambulance one time. But we gotta brainstorm to get some of this, you know, down.
I think the problem is finding the people to fill per diem. Like that's what you hear from everyone, right? Like you can't find people that are willing to fill the shifts. You can have the money for them, you can offer them, you can advertise for them, you can push to find people, but at the end of the day, if you can't
Are
find
they
people.
actively,
The per diem program was primarily for the weekends, because that was the hardest time to schedule.
Especially Saturday was really.
Yeah.
but I mean, could that be expanded any during the week, you know? You know, the number there, that's the biggest ticket number, you know, and what is option B with this without killing the whole addition?
Enchilada.
You know, I know that people don't like to hear this, but Sandersfield, they have 30 people on their list.
Wow.
And yeah, but hold on, you know, look, I spent time talking to John Fields and Steve, and I don't care what Sean says, he just discredits them. You know, I didn't bring up what John had said about, you know, the fire chief. You know, that you want to share the text he's been sending to the guy? Like, I've known the guy all my life, and he's like, What's he after me for? I don't know, Roger, I mean.
No, I just, we just know people we look at Sheffield had 25, 40 people on the list, and they couldn't even get anybody to show up to a call. That down there, when they had that big call up in Lennox when the fire, when the
Yeah,
motel burned.
that burn, yeah.
When the motel burned, they had a call in Sheffield that nobody in Sheffield could go for the call.
Right now,
So
I don't know the
it's hard to-
full
it's hard to believe it sometimes.
story, but they are filling those shifts with mostly stipends, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you that, and that's why it's good to have conversations, they're starting the bumper thing, if they actually.
I mean, good for them. It's hard for me
Yeah,
to
but
say if they get a change, it
Yeah,
is
so-
good. The
But you gotta
problem I
talk to
got
them.
is but the problem I got is the disjunction between, like, I haven't seen the numbers because I don't have their budget, right? But you're saying, and I believe you, they have some money, but the disjunction between the number of people they're saying are in the house and the number of people they have money to pay seems to be significant, which raises
Yeah,
the
but-
question, are all those people volunteering
But
their
I would
time?
tell you,
What's the
okay.
situation? I don't know the answer, I can only answer questions.
Okay, I don't want to go, I watched the fire portion when they had fire discussion. And they were bringing in like $18,000 a month or 2 months in transportation charges.
For doing transports, the
For-
ambulance
yeah.
transport. That wouldn't be fire, that would be ambulance.
Yeah,
right?
that's
That's what you're
ambulance,
saying.
but so they have, I don't know how their
So
budget,
you think the money's coming from that?
a good portion of it is. Because they said, oh, we run like 4 runs to, take someone from the veterans over to Fairview or wherever, and, they were quick runs and, they pick up the
So
floor.
I think for us, if they, based upon, I'm just trying to think here, based upon what we pay our per diems
Mhm.
in a 12-hour shift, you would, if it's just a basic firefighter, if we're just paying a firefighter, there may be some cost savings, but your cost savings are gonna be on health insurance.
But we
and
gotta
other
find stuff, I don't know where else to use.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine, we go through all this little stuff,
Oh,
but
yeah.
and I'm not sure what the answer is, I'm just throwing stuff on the wall and hoping it'll stick.
Yeah.
But the elephant in the room is that number.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because they're looking to pay, like, they're looking to pay $35 an hour for a per diem. And our firefighter EMT is $30 an hour, so there'd be,
There's a bump up.
there's a bump up just in the operation, but you're not paying the extra healthcare and the extra retirement.
Oh, no, we gotta be
And
all.
it comes down to whether or not they'd be able to fill it, and how
Right.
many empty shifts are we willing to have?
Yeah, but this is where data, you get a comfort level knowing, Tuesday nights are gonna be okay, Friday night, no, we can't be that, that's not the night we can be low. What does the data say? I mean, they're not data, they're not.
No, it's
I
hard,
don't
it's hard,
think
it's
we
it's hard to,
get it
it's hard to, too, on the fact that, we're paying for insurance. And like Jeff was saying, you're paying for capacity, you're paying for the fact that you're never gonna go out, if you're gonna.
Well, I know, but
You might as
you
well not have a
gotta,
firehouse.
well, but, I agree with that, but I mean.
Because the data that happens on Tuesday could happen on Thursday.
Mhm.
That's a problem with that,
Did I say-
with that.
What were you
so,
gonna
anyway.
say?
I was gonna say it's after 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And- And,
No.
we'll pick it back up next week.
Okay.
So you don't have anything, you don't have anything, you
Oh,
don't
no,
have
hold
anything?
on, I got one other thing.
No.
Just that
I
was the
talked to
question.
Seth about doing the finance committee. See, I told you the guy.
Oh,
Mhm.
a potential candidate.
Yeah, I gotta go home and write him an email.
Okay, good.
Who
Okay,
is
so
that?
Seth,
I don't know.
he works for he is, they're young.
Yeah.
He's a psychologist. She's doing a bunch of historical stuff for Margie's family. I think she's a historian. They have 2 children, and I met him through volunteering at the pantry,
Okay.
and I see him at the gym. And I didn't talk to him last Friday because it was too icy. I didn't go to the gym. But I told him, but he said, I gotta send him an email.
He has to show up at the.
Harvard.
What is
this-
it? What
so
is
this weekend?
Saturday
this
and
weekend,
Sunday?
Saturday and Sunday,
Uh,
Republican Saturday, Democrat Sunday.
No.
uh,
It's on the clerk's.
There is one actually pressing thing. So seasonal communities designation, I was back and forth with Tom Sawyer a little bit. And he was back and forth with BRPC, and they said they had never heard the concern that our town council raised. So I talked to town council a little bit, and she's gonna put something in writing, or kind of already did. Her experience is currently with Drake it. And
Is it a coastal community?
Eastern Mass.
And they're part of this MBTA legislation. And the MBT legislation says that they need to change their zoning bylaw. They proposed the zoning bylaw changes to the town meeting voted no. The Attorney General is now suing Drake and 8 other towns, I believe, because their zoning doesn't comply with the statute. Donna's concern is if we accept seasonal community designation, and it includes the town of Monterey or the towns shall or must, I forget the exact wording, amend zoning bylaws to accommodate tiny homes, et cetera. And we don't approve that zoning bylaw, we are then in a difficult situation, just like Drake, where the law says your zoning bylaw should allow it by right, but your zoning bylaws don't say that. That's her concern. Also an interim period. She says maybe she's a little gun shy or a little bit apprehensive. Maybe being a little overly exercising an abundance of caution, but this is her concrete experience where the Attorney General is suing Drake because their zoning bylaws don't comply with Mass General Law. And we could be in the same boat.
I thought last week they were saying they all
They were-
thought we should put it off so that we can do the zoning at the same time.
Well, BRPC is saying, no, that's not a concern, we should do it now. So it's, and I understand where they're coming from. They're saying, actually, if you don't accept the zoning bylaws, EOHLC,
Can just say, bye
you're no longer.
not
seasonal
eligible
community.
for the money.
Town council's gonna reach out for a definitive answer in writing
Yes.
about that. And aside from all your other opinions you may have on seasonal community designation, I just wanna bring to our attention.
Yeah.
It may come back into the fray if the understanding is in writing from EOHLC that if we don't amend our zoning bylaws, we are simply no longer a seasonal community and they are not going to sue us.
Right.
There's the second concern that the town council has of the interim,
Right.
where
Is that
by
people
law it
do
says
things, right,
people
yeah.
can build tiny homes by right, by law of Massachusetts. But our zoning bylaws
Don't really cover
haven't
them.
caught up to speed. So that's second concern. And I think a lot of these things they're theoretical risks that we might just say, okay, we understand they're theoretical risks. They might go to court. We don't know what the outcome would be. Let's do it anyway. They could also be, oh, we're already on the fence. This is another reason to just say, let's hold on. So that's,
I gotta say that I think it's a lot cleaner to do. I had hesitations about having to change zoning bylaws separately. And I personally am a lot more comfortable with doing them both at the same time. I was very happy with that proposal.
so
Because it's cleaner.
I think we'll get an answer from Donna in writing in any case.
Yeah, great.
But I'm just putting this on your radar.
And
And
it
I
might
think
come back.
even she admitted that she's exercising abundance of caution. And also is maybe a little gun shy because she represents a town
That got sued.
that's actively being sued by the AG for kind of a similar situation. And also, she said, if someone made the case that they should be able to build a tiny home by right, based on our acceptance of seasonal communities in the interim, she wouldn't feel, maybe I shouldn't expose legal strategy, but that would be difficult.
It's an
It would
awkward
put the
situation,
town in a difficult situation
Mhm.
to say that they can't build it by right. Because Mass General Law says
they can't.
they can't.
And that's if you accept the seasonal community.
Yeah, in
Correct.
the interim, before we actually
Wait,
change
yeah.
the zoning bylaw and are allowed to put conditions on it, so.
If there's a hole where we accept one and we don't change the zoning bylaw, it's under that situation. So I think we should, and for one thing, I think it's awkward if we accept seasonal community and then we try to change zoning bylaws and people tank it. I think it's a lot cleaner to offer
You tell them
everybody
the
the
whole
package,
story,
the whole story, and they thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah, no.
Well, I also, it is interesting for a town that has a very green space oriented zoning bylaws in general,
Right.
to then kind of swing the pendulum all the way the other way and go, we can have tiny homes on half acre lots.
That's,
Could we think about decreasing our lot size or road frontage or these prohibitions
And then-
incrementally?
Well, that's what
Yeah.
Joanne Bell said at
I know.
the town meeting. She said we have to think about this, who caused it, we have to think about how to change it.
But I'm,
And how to change it so we don't end up with, like, when they originally made the zoning, we got all these wacky lots,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
And we
my
need
error
to
was
learn
wacky.
from that
Wacky.
error, and if we're gonna change that, try and figure out how to make it so that
Yeah.
there'll be less wackiness. Right?
but maybe, I think you hire a consultant for this, cause it's so
Right.
complicated,
Yeah.
a town planner, but, if you reduce lot size to an acre and a quarter, people could build on lots that haven't been able to be
what
built
about
on.
cluster housing?
I think if you're gonna do it,
That
you'd
was
have to
something
go
that has
for
to be-
1 acre, so that a 2 acre lot.
That's
goes
about
to
that
the
in
lot.
surveys.
So that-
Right, because otherwise,
Makes
if it's
sense.
2 acres and you say and an acre and a quarter, there's nothing.
Yes, but it's again incremental
Right.
versus,
No, but the 2 acre lots that exist wouldn't be able to make 2 lots.
that'd be the goal of the acre and a quarter potentially,
Okay,
is that we can, I think,
I see.
why
There'll
go
be
all the
flat
way
lines.
from you need 2 acres and 200 square feet till you can build a tiny home on that?
Right,
With 20 feet on
That's-
the road.
There's a lot of room between
20 feet is ridiculous.
this cookie
Someone
cutter.
said I had that common sense.
Right, well,
So,
so, yeah, okay.
all right, are we good to adjourn?
Can I just say one thing
Yeah, Mickey.
I heard that, CDL licenses may be offered by BCC.
They are.
Yeah, so that sounds like a really great thing, because it won't cost,
It's a lot closer, it's
$1,000.
actually, it might actually a tiny bit more expensive there, but it's
Expensive, yeah.
closer.
But you still have
you
to
think
do,
it would cost more than?
it does, yeah, it's like 3,500 for a CDL-B and 7,000 for a CDL-A, which is, the CDL-A is more than, we paid in Holyoke. You have to do the CDL driving in Holyoke.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, the CDL-B is, the driving part is being done at the mall up there, the Berkshire Mall or whatever. it is.
No, they're not
But
doing
what is
anything
it?
else
But
there.
now, the bus company is getting into it.
Only because they're struggling for drivers.
Yeah.
Well, we also,
So they can use the buses or something
So,
for,
yeah, some-
we had talked a lot about sending someone to CDL school, but our candidate left. And it
Yeah,
sounds
right,
like
I
the
know.
person that we're gonna hire, or
Might have it.
will likely have a CDL,
But
so.
this might be an issue going forward, you just
Yeah,
never
I
know,
just
like, there is
thought
a
I-
shortage.
It-
I
it
think.
is-
There's a general shortage of
Yeah.
CDL.
It is definitely more convenient because it's a, I forget how many weeks it was, and you gotta drive there.
Yeah.
And the closest place is Holyoke in like, just over the border in Connecticut.
Yeah.
So it would definitely make it a lot
Do you
easier.
have
for
anything you
people
wanna add to
in-
my questions, or you're okay with whatever answers we get?
I'm okay with that, I'll go to the meetings and get more clarity.
Okay.
Going to Thursday's meeting?
I'm gonna try to, I have different things, but I'm gonna try to get,
I'm gonna try to at least listen, and it'd be great to have a physical presence.
I'm just curious myself.
Yeah, I'm very curious. I mean, maybe some of it will come to clarity, but I will clean up the letter and go ahead and send it. I don't have to have all of our,
It's gotta
names on
be
there.
chaos behind the door.
I know, right?
Could you imagine being there?
since we're not buying any trucks this year, maybe we should buy a roll-off truck this year.
Can you get by the chapter 90 money?
I'd have to see what kind it was, we might be able to.
What would
We're gonna
a
have
truck
one.
look like?
One point.
It's a truck, it just has
Backwards.
the thing, it has the, it's a simple, I
I
say
see.
simple.
And
I mean, it
start-
would probably
and
be
start
200 or
hauling our own
300,000
And then we could,
but
then we could charge 100,000 to New Marlboro and all that.
Right.
Become
How
a
much would
profit
it
center.
cost us to, I mean, I wonder, like, at the end of the day, is it more or less expensive to do that? Like, I don't know.
well, year one is a lot more expensive.
Right, but in general,
Eventually.
like, how does it amortize? How long does the truck last? What's the maintenance on the truck? How many
Oh,
hours
it's 10
would
years, 10 years?
someone, one of our
Yeah,
people
10,
be
it's
out
gotta
to
be
do
10.
that in the midst
It
of
would
whatever else
have
is
to
happening?
work with our staffing,
Right.
and it would have to work in the winter. And so we would probably need a highway superintendent and 4 people with their CDLs.
Definitely.
But
It might ultimately be worth it.
it might ultimately be worth it because of what we're paying for hauling.
Well, and
I don't know.
at the end of the day, here's the other question. Does that also mean we should be trying, like, maybe it shouldn't just be us?
Well, you say the truck would probably be 130 to 150 grand. on that.
Or 2 or 300,000.
I don't think it'd be that high.
I think it depends, but
Well, the question then you have to do is, are you gonna buy the containers?
yes,
Because
in
what
that
you-
case, we would own the container.
Yeah, but if you had the containers, you could have extra containers and you could set like 3 up and say, okay, today, Johnny, you're gonna drive up, or whoever, that's what you're gonna do, you're gonna do 3 hauls to the.
Well,
And you
and
could
one
keep
of
a
the
full
other-
one.
Yeah,
One of the other
Yeah.
options, and some places do this, is in some cases, several towns went in together to buy extra containers so that the hauler isn't doing round trips. Like
Yeah.
they're coming in with an empty, swapping them out, leaving, but they're not coming back, and the towns can even share those extras.
I think they always, because they wanna make money, I think they're always coming to the spare.
But do they come back?
No, cause they
No.
put the spare in place
And
of the
so
one.
they're
that they-
already doing that.
I've never been there to see it taken away, actually.
I've seen them come, when I used to work right there,
Right.
and I'm not saying every single time, but usually they come with a empty and put it in place. Cause it saves them money,
A
but they
lot of
might
money,
charge us
right.
for round trip.
But that's the thing, I'm wondering, are we getting charged, is the $650 for the round trip, because they can? I don't know.
I get, it's definitely a round trip to like take it out to Springfield and back. It's definitely up to the cost, that's at 615, 615, yeah. It's around.
so it says a heavy duty long haul, 140 to 190 grand,
It's what?
140 to 100.
Do you put a plow on it?
No.
I would look for
They
a used
put a
one.
plow on
I'd look for a used
So,
one.
alright, can we move to adjourn? We'll vote on that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
meeting adjourned at 8:19 PM.
We never got to the bill.
the what?